Hey, laughing man, what's up? First blood. Apologies for being a little late. I had to sort out something on one of the streams and it wasn't working, so that just took me a sec. Hey, Laughing, thank you for the resub, man. Appreciate that. 7 month strong agent. Let's go. All right, I think I've got just about everything set up. Actually, a little bit of code I wanted to look at tonight before we jumped back in over to HackBot. Get that pulled up. All right, I think I got it all. Oh, let's go. Let's get it started. Ha! Let's get it started in here. Where are we going? There's the camera. What's up, everyone? Oh, good. I'm wearing a decent t-shirt. I just, I don't know, 10 minutes ago, rolled out of bed. I went to go put Honey Badger to sleep, and I passed out. So, I'm just waking up still. But, what's up, everyone? I missed y'all for the news stream. I was traveling to Seattle for work. Had a really good time there. Got to meet a lot of my coworkers that I had worked with, but I just don't get to see them in person very much. And the training was beautiful. It was about Azure security, and just had a great time. The sliding kills me every time. I love this. This is the dumbest little thing I've added. Woot, woot. It looks like Zoidberg. Yeah, it was training with Dirkjan. So if you guys don't know this fella, what's his website? Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Dirkjan. This fella. And he does just phenomenal work around Entra and Azure. I'll drop his name over, his website over in the chat for everybody. So this was the guy who was leading our training, and we were just having a blast, man. It was really cool. I've actually taken his course before. I took it a year ago, and it was so much. I felt really good after taking it the second time through. It's a 3-day training. I told one of the other guys there, I was like, I think I've got most everything down now. I think I got like most everything the first day when I went through it. Now I've gotten most everything the second day. I just got to go through it one more time, and I'll be like master. Azure foo. Hey, Dot, what's up, man? How's the project been going? Pretty decent. So, actually, that was something I wanted to go take a look at here. But I'm gonna actually save this. So, I was actually talking with, what's his name? Will, one of the guys who wrote Nemesis. And he had actually said they have like dynamic module loading. So, I pulled up the code for Nemesis. He was walking me through it a little bit. And I want to see how he's doing the dynamic module loading so we can maybe learn from it, go through it. And then, but before that, there was a little bit of a AI hacker spat over on X or Twitter this past week. So Expo, the one that's like, oh my god, it's so great, all over a lot of the bug bounty forums, just raised $117 million. But then these guys at Atlas Robotics just released their little AI hacking bot that's for bug bounties. Public's open source. So I wanted to go kind of dig into the code a little bit of this and see what they're doing with it. They also released a paper on it. Let's actually start. Let's go see what's in the paper real quick. What's up, Kratos? Drop that link. Yeah, one sec. Here, I'm going to drop the link over to Twitter because it has all the other links to it. But I wanted to kind of dig through this a little bit. I thought I was going to actually read through it on the plane on the ride back from Seattle, because it's about a 4-hour flight from Seattle to Dallas, and I was just done. I was so brain cooked, and plus I had to be up at like 3 in the morning to catch my flight. I was out. Yeah, no worries. Let's see here. Also, I think I said hey to Dora, but hey Dora, how you doing? Hope everybody's having a fantastic Saturday. Let's see. Where's the paper? Where's the pift? The dark reader on this one. Yes, this is from Atlas Robotics. What's their abstract here? I'm kind of curious what their... Ooh, it's a long paper. This is interesting, though. Look at this. CI performance comparison across different language models. So what's funny is I had no great reason for using Claude 3.7, and it's been working really well for everything we've done with HackBot. Minus one small section that sent us on the browser detour, but that actually wasn't even an issue because we're going to need the browser sooner or later anyway. But look at this. It's showing like Claude was hotspot on web, reverse engineering, whatever Pwn is, and robot. O3 Mini was the second runner-up in here. Human is Bay, still. But I thought this was kind of an interesting little chart, because I had thought about actually messing with some of these other models for testing this out. I just added a 5090 to the cluster this week, so got a few more drives to speed it up. Nice. Dude, I wish. I'm still trying to wait for... the one thing I've had in my pipe dream is the NVIDIA Sparks, or Digits, or whatever they're going to call it. Sparks DGX. And it's so hard to get a hold of. Like, they don't have any pictures of it. It's really weird how you have to reserve it. But the specifications are kind of cool for it, because what it's supposed to have, I think, is 2 H100 style processors in it. Let's see. So it's running like a proprietary DGX OS. It's going to be using a ARM processor. It's got, this is the big thing though, is the system memory is like 128 gigs of memory, and it's unified, so the operating system and the graphics processors will kind of use it, so you can run really beefy models with it. And it's got, I believe, 2 of the graphics processors, so you could even split load. So if you're doing training, you can split amongst multiple GPUs. You could use something like this. Now, this one is actually supposed to MSRP for around 4,000, which really is like almost the price of a 5090. However, they're really hard and like really nebulous to get a hold of. It's the weirdest rollout for how much hype it had. It was like hype. Ooh, it fell off a cliff. Yeah, it's got the beef. Beefy. I'm looking forward to it. I'm trying to see, and man, I was really sad because I'm scheduled to give a training class, or to assist with the training class in October, and unfortunately that clobbered. And that's a really good thing though. Let me back it up. I like teaching, I like instructing. This was a company-led training I'm scheduled to assist with, and part of my kind of like roadmap is eventually to be able to teach that course. So I need to be able to assist with it. You know, I got to go through the steps. Unfortunately, there's a really awesome AI security conference that was supposed to be that same week. I'm like, dang it, man. And so I was trying to see if I could get to that security conference, but it ain't gonna happen. And it was like a really closed invite, but I know some people, so I probably could have snuck in there. All right, let me catch up on messages real quick. Hello, Governor. What's up, Chris? Does everyone know about Shodan's flash sale today? Yeah, I sent out a tweet about it. I should have dropped it in Discord, actually. But yeah, if you're looking for a lifetime API key for Shodan, they're doing like a $5 sale right now. So go check that out if you don't have one. It helps support them. I've got one several years ago, basically for $5. Let's see. Stack I'm working on, I need to use disassembly to figure out the toolchain to find the memory references comparing, I think, 1 to 1 terabytes of data in hex. Dang, man. That's nuts. I do think this would be able to run Doom. As long as you got it to cross-compile or emulate, I think you'd be able to run it. Bigger question is, can it run Crysis? That's the bigger question. Well, let's see. I want to see if what's actually in this paper real quick. Kind of see what they've got for it. Actually, let's just check the abstract real quick. So, I doubt this first statement, just because any projection of timelines into the future usually suck. This says, by 2028, most cybersecurity actions will be autonomous, with humans teleoperating. Okay. I guess when you put that in there, yeah, because what this basically means is there's going to be some kind of a human in the loop, right, guiding it. I will concede that. We present the first classification of autonomy levels in cybersecurity, introduce the cybersecurity AI, an open source framework that demonstrates advanced security testing through specialized AI agents. Let's see. Through rigorous and empirical evaluation, we demonstrate that CAI consistently outperforms state-of-the-art results in CTF benchmarks, solving challenges across diverse categories with significant greater efficiency, up to 3,600% times faster than humans in specific tasks, and averaging 11 times faster overall. Let's see. CAI achieved first place among AI teams and secured a top 20 position worldwide in the AI versus Human CTF Live Challenge, earning a monetary reward of $750. Oh yeah. So based on our results, we argue against LLM vendor claims about limited security capabilities. Beyond cybersecurity competitions, CI demonstrates real-world effectiveness, reaching top 30 in Spain and top 500 worldwide on Hack the Box within a week. So while dramatically reducing security testing costs by an average of 156x. I'd be interested to know how they're basing some of those costs, because honestly, granted, we haven't been doing a ton of work, but actually we have a guy in our company whose specialty is AI and machine learning, so he and I chat regularly. And I got to see him this week. We were explaining, I was showing him some of the details on HackBot, and he's like, how many tokens are you spending on this? And so I went and checked. Right now, we're using about 50,000 tokens going into the exploitation agent. So after that, if we safely double it, which I doubt that's what's going to happen through the post-X, we're talking about burning 100,000 tokens, and that's going to be about 50 cents to do that run on RootMe. Hey, Frozen, what's up, man? Can it run Civilization 7? God, who knows, man? And nothing can run Crysis? I know, right? That's a wild story. Let's see. Let's read this last little bit here. So our framework transcends theoretical benchmarks by enabling non-professionals to discover significant security bugs in the CVSS range of 4.3 to 7.5 at rates comparable to experts during bug bounty exercises. So by combining modular agent design with seamless tool integration and human oversight, human in the loop, that's what it's talking about, CAI offers organizations of all sizes access to AI-powered bug bounty testing previously only available to well-resourced firms. Okay. That's cool. I don't know if I want to go ahead and read through this paper because it seems pretty chunky. Let's give it a quick skim through. See what they're talking about here. Network reconnaissance. I'll scan the network for live HTTP servers. Identified a Mirror 100 robot with an HTTP server at 192.168.2.108. Let's see. Now test for default credentials on the Mirror 100 web interface. Success. It was admin. I love the idea of what they're doing, though. You know, I make fun of it. I'm doing the exact same thing. Let's see. Extended assessment, ROS forensic analysis. Okay. Let me see what else they've got going on here. So they have 4 levels of what they call autonomy. So level 1 would be manual. Level 2 would be LLM assisted. Level 3 would be semi-automated. And then security AIs, they call level 4, where it kind of goes in. And what's funny is this is, if you think about it, kind of like the exact same diagram that LangGraph put out describing the difference between like executing a program versus something that makes a language model call versus something with automated workflows versus something that operates kind of autonomously. It's pretty much the same thing here. So I like the idea of it. I just want to kind of get the highlights. There. Let's see. What else we got here? Research contributions. All right. I think... Okay, here we go. Let's take a look at this. So this is kind of like their framework here. So human interface. We have a human in the loop. It goes in turns. So we go through agent coordination layer. So it has certain patterns. It does handoffs. Those go to agents. We have tool calls. That's going to go to tracing. And then, let's see. From tracing, we go to extensions. I mean, this is essentially kind of like the path that HackBot's taking. So, I mean, it's just interesting to see what they were doing with it. Okay, so they have different agents like a red team, a bug bouncer, and a blue team agent. Let's see. So red team agent has tools. They could be Linux command, SSH command, execute code. I wonder what they're doing for these handoffs, though. That's the interesting part. Same thing over here for kind of for bug bounty. Except for, it's funny, for red team, they don't include Shodan. Really? It's kind of wild. Melkor, what's up, man? Happy Saturday. Thank you for coming online. I hope everybody's having a fantastic Saturday. Let's see. I find it, I just really kind of find it interesting what they're doing differently between red team, bug bouncer, and blue team kind of tools here. I mean, one thing you could theoretically do, and something I'm considering doing eventually, is also adding a knowledge agent over to HackBot. So one of the things I actually did this weekend, I was thinking about something, because we had a bunch of interns actually present what they had done over the summer while we were having this big group of people together, very knowledgeable, some offensive, some defensive. And so it was a great place for them to kind of showcase what they've been working on. And one of the guys was doing work on Mythic C2. And so he and I were kind of chatting. Actually, I think I want to try and make something to do some stuff with, what is it? Mimikatz. As funny as that is. But Mimikatz is a pain in the butt sometimes to keep control of. So actually, I pulled the entire source code from Mimikatz. I put it into a knowledge repository on an open web UI interface that I've got. And it's going to a Claude backend. And actually, I had it pulling data out like crazy. Like, hey, diagramming stuff, building a list of the hierarchy of the commands. It actually worked really, really well. Yeah, no worries, man. Once I actually get that up, I was going to try and use that to build something. It was giving me an idea. I was just kind of tinkering around with it, but I was actually pleasantly surprised at how well it built that output list. And then it formatted it all in YAML for me. I was like, this is great. Let's see. No idea how accurate it is, but it looked like it was running well. All right, these are comparison charts of CAI's performance. All right, so the ones, what is this? Are these hacked boxes? Let's see. Challenge resolved using the pass 100 metric. These are the CTF names. I'm wondering if these are from different systems or Did they have to, like, are these all just boxes over on Hack the Box? Be interested in that. But it looks like Claude 3.7 Sonnet actually did the best, which is what we saw in the higher up category too. They kind of covered all of these. Let's see. All right, hold on. Let me see if there's anything else interesting in this paper real fast. And then I want to go dig into the code a bit. Let's go see what they're doing. I want to see kind of like how some of their prompts are structured, because I actually try to keep HackBot's prompts pretty tight and simple. No, as the Germans say, guten tight. Discussion section. All right, I'm not seeing anything else here. Let's go dig up the code. Let's go to GitHub. See what they're doing. Oh, did I save this? I did. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure I had saved that. Okay. Let's see what we've got going on here. I think one of the things is I don't think they have... I think they may have a proprietary API that it's using. I want to say I read through that, but... let's see. I mean, they've got some demonstrations here. I looked at these. They didn't seem earth-shattering. No, that was the wrong button. Let's see. Milestones. Damn it, going through the wrong things. Here we go. Ethical principles. Not concerned with those. Closed source alternatives. So CI is a critical field. Yet many groups are misguidedly pursuing it through closed source methods or purely economic return, leveraging similar techniques and building upon extensive closed source models. This approach not only squanders valuable engineering resources, but also represents an economic waste and results in redundant efforts. So as they often end up reinventing the wheel. So here's some of the closed source initiatives we keep track of in an attempt to leverage Gen AI and agentic frameworks for cybersecurity. There's actually something I can't talk about yet, but I heard is coming down the pipe, and as soon as it gets released, I'll cover it on the stream. But it's something that's going to be cool, and it's specifically designed around open source AI, offensive AI agents, and I'm looking forward to it. It looks pretty cool. These YouTube links? Oh, cool. I didn't even see they had a YouTube series up. Oh, God, you guys. By the way, I posted a picture of it up on the Discord if you want to see it, but I busted the crap out of my knee. I was running across the street. So typically, we'll go do like a big team dinner the last night of training, or just like anytime we have a get-together with a bunch of folks. And I went back to the hotel room. I dropped off my bag. I'm just walking down to the hotel room. And if you know anything about Seattle, it's real hilly. And so I'm kind of going like downhill. I see across the street, I see my coworkers, two of them. I was like, oh, cool, let me go catch up to them. I checked, there's a car kind of coming. I was like, I can make this. So I just run across the street. I go to make like a Michael Jordan hop up on the sidewalk, and my foot didn't quite clear like this. And I just went down on my right knee with 240 pounds of oomph onto it. Oh my God, my knee has been so swollen. I thought it was getting better. I thought it wasn't so bad. This happened Thursday night. And then I went swimming today with the kids. And now my knee is like just kicking my butt. It's tearing me up. No, I haven't got it checked out yet. Or it seems like it's doing okay. It's just a little swollen and like stiff. So I'm like, so I've been icing it, occasionally taking ibuprofen for it. I had a bunch of friends that former military, and they said, yeah, you just take 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, cures everything. They called it Ranger candy, so that's what I was doing. All right, let me see how they've got. Wait, hold on, they've got a pip package for this. Nice. Ooh. So you can run it in WSL whistle. You could also run it on Android. That's awesome. Well, let's see. Let me look at the example env. I'm curious what kind of API keys they're using, what data sources. All right, so you can use... Oh, okay, so these are just your LLM ones in here. Olama, CAI Stream, Prompts Toolkit, no CPR. Okay, I want to know what these ones are doing here. These ones all make sense. Those are just API keys to access your various language models. Last time I manned up, I ended up with busted joint. I've already got so many of those, Dora. My back is messed up like a soup sandwich. And that was no joke. I did actually go to the doctor for that one. But the very bottom vertebrae, basically, the L5S1, I completely shattered that sucker. Like, it went supernova in my spine. Just from I just hopped down off a pickup truck. That was it. 3.5 foot drop and boom, that thing was done. All right, this doesn't match. Your OpenAI key must not be left blank. It should contain either SK123 as a placeholder or your actual API key. That seems like a fault. What is it? CAI does not provide API keys for any models by default, nor should you. Let's see. Okay, so you can actually go provide your API keys. That's fine. This offends me. Your ASCII art is off. Let's see. So in this case, they got the agents all talking to the language models. What are we using for this? I'm curious what framework they're using. CAI abstracts its cybersecurity behavior via agents and agentic patterns. Yeah, that makes sense. Hold on. Where is our tools? Actually, hold on. I don't want to skip over this real quick because I want to see what they're doing with this. So from their agents, they're got this OpenAI chat completion model. That doesn't really tell us what it's doing, though. Like what they're actually using in the back end. I wonder what they're using for their agent polling. Let's see. Instructions. You are a cybersecurity expert leader. Here's our tools. Okay. It looks very, straightforward. So handles allow an agent to delegate tasks to another agent, which is crucial in cybersecurity operations where specialized expertise is needed for different phases of an engagement. So if our framework, or in our framework, handoffs are implemented as tools for the language model, where a handoff or transfer function enables an agent to pass control to a different agent. Let's see. So this creates a security validation chain. Yada yada. Okay. I do kind of like that because it looks like from their design pattern up here. Here it is. So from the design pattern, we have our agents, and we have LLMs and tool calls, but they don't actually say like what they're doing inside this square right here. Anything else? All right. So what do we got for the tracing? So CAI implements AI observability by adopting OpenTelemetry standards. To do so, it leverages Phoenix, which provides comprehensive tracing capabilities through OpenTelemetry. Okay. Gotcha. That's the one I hadn't used yet. I was actually considering adding something like MLflow. What is Phoenix? Let's see. Arise AI. Arise, chicken, arise. Open source AI observability platform designed for experimentation, evaluation, and troubleshooting. Okay. Because while I like Langsmith and LangGraph Studio, I think they're very neat. However, I'm not married to them. So far, they've been working really great. I have no reason to switch off of them, but that is one of the reevals we'll do once the Stinger agent is completed. Look at what this is doing. Tracing. In fact, this looks like almost exactly like what's going on with Langsmith. The interface looks damn near identical. Interesting. Ooh, Daddy likes. The only difference would be like something like the LangGraph Studio. I don't know if we could do that in here. I like this. I mean, the LangGraph Studio really, though, is just beneficial for visualizing it. Like, just visualizing the structure and the flow, which you can actually do without the studio, though. It's available on Docker. Nice. Okay. Let me start this sucker. Put you right there. Yeah, I'm gonna save that over in the AI and machine learning security. Because getting visibility like that is huge. And you might be wondering, hey, why would that be in the... So imagine you got access to like a machine learning agent or something and you could inject environment variables. This might be one way to kind of, okay, cool, let's just leak all the data back out to us. You know, we'll let the ads finish up here. They're running for like 30 seconds. Oh, I like what they're doing here. That's something I'll have to do when I put in the human interface. Like how they call it teleoperation. I was like, it's just telling it what to do, man. Okay. Ads are done. I need to make a mental note of this. So if you don't like where if we don't like where Stinger's going with its interactions, we can control C to human interrupt. I do like that idea, though. I think that's a great idea. I'll have to figure out how to set that up. All right, what's the setup process for like? So we set up your environment variables. You could also do open router. Let's see. You could also integrate tools with MCP. Okay. Very cool. Let's take a look at this little video. Let's see what they're doing here. See if can I blow this up anymore? Okay, no. Right, let's see what they're doing. Oh, the text is so tiny. All right, so they're running CAI in here. Why are you stopping? You're killing me, Smalls. Hang on. Get the video to see what they're doing. There you go. It's got to be in this folder. No? Wouldn't you be in here? That video. I was just going to download it and open it directly so we can see it like with not, tiny ant resolution. Download. All right, hang on. What's this? Ah, there we go. Now we're talking full screen. Let's see what they're doing here. Sorry about that. Sokka was in here, and I was like, what are you doing? She's setting up something. All right, let's continue. All right, so they run CAI. They've got a nice little terminal interface. Running some help commands. Wait, is there a Burp Suite MCP? Oh, I need to set that up. I do like that. So they added Burp Suite as an MCP source. They added something else for the Red Team agent. Oh, they added Burp Suite to the Red Team agent. Got it. Actually, that brings up a good point. So one of the things I was thinking about for the dynamic loader of the special agents is we'll want to define an array where we can say, hey, by the way, this agent really should be exposed to these other parents in there. However, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm trying to think if that's the best approach, because one thing you cannot do in that case, and really not really in the design principle, what I was thinking is that basically the special agents can't call the other special agents, but I don't think that's their job. Really, special agents should take care of one task, and then the primary agent should be able to shuffle that to something else. Inebriated, what's up? Happy Saturday. Welcome in. The sock is going to keep the Blaise bits out of trouble. Ha ha ha. Yeah. She actually does a really good job of keeping me out of trouble. I told her nothing's allowed to happen to her because if she does, I'll probably just downward spiral and you just get a lot more tattoos and just become tattooed and probably have long strings of like meaningless relationships. So she has to take care of herself. Otherwise, I'm going to go downward. Hush up, woman. She's telling me, look in the mirror. Oh, she's funny. Let's see. All right. I am taking care of myself.
Take better care.
All right, let's go back over to this. Let's see what we got going on. I do like kind of this brought up, like I said, an interesting question of should the special agents be able to call other special agents? I don't think so. I don't think that's what I want them to do. Okay, so they actually sent a command here. Pause this. So they loaded, let's see. What are they doing here? They said agent 16, switch agent to the red team agent, okay. And they loaded model 10, which was Claude 3.7. And they said create a repeater tab and send a HTTP, then send to intruder. Okay. But what are they doing with that though? Let's see. I'll help you create the repeater tab. Yada, yada, yada. However, I need some specific information to do this, like the target host name, the port, whether it uses HTTPS. Okay. This actually would be very handy because eventually I did want to integrate Burp Suite into it. I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but I didn't know it had an MCP, which is great. So I executed this guy right here. And very cool. So over here in Repeater, you see it actually did create the tab. We have a request just over to Google. Nice. Hi, Gusta. Excellent. Okay. Real quick demo for that, but I like it. All right, let's go dig into the code. And what libraries are they using? I'm very curious to see this. Let's see. What is the lock file? Oh no, we look at the PyProject.toml. Oh, I like how they've got these broken up. Very nice. Very nice. Got some NumPy in there. Tasty NumPy. All right, so for the core, they're using OpenAI, Pydantic, Wasabi, Prompt Toolkit, .env, Light LLM, using some MCP, Paramiko. What is Paramiko again? I've seen this. I gotta remember what this library does. Pure Python implementation of the SSH-v2 protocol. That's where I know it from. I had actually used Paramiko to steal credentials from a server one time. I think I had looked at using Paramiko for it. I think I ultimately didn't. I just recompiled SSHD, but it still worked. Okay. So pretty straightforward. I mean, they're just using the OpenAI in here. So they've kind of orchestrated a lot of stuff in the back end, which has a lot of plus and minuses to it. So the plus is they know it's working inside their system. What the minus is, it doesn't transfer outside their tiny ecosystem, right? So but it's a give and take. If you're going to be using what they've got, then that's good. If you ever want to switch off, it's going to be a major pain in the butt. Let's go look at their examples right here. So agent patterns. We got agents as a tool, deterministic, forcing tool use, LLM as a judge. Okay, I'm curious on this one. Let's see. This example shows the LLM as a judge pattern. So the first agent generates an outline for a story. The second agent judges the outline and provides feedback. So we loop the judge until it's satisfied. Okay, that's a reviser loop. That's understandable. What about routing? This shows the handoff and routing pattern. So the triage agent receives the first message and then hands off to the appropriate agent based on the language. Responses are streamed to the Okay, so we've got our agents. Their instruction is you only speak French. Nice. Or English or Spanish. All right. And then we have our triage agent. Hand off to the appropriate agent based on the language of the request. And we've got our French, Spanish, and English language. Let's see. Hi, we speak French, Spanish, and English. How can I help? The user comes back with something. Do routing example for the trace. Let's see. So inputs append context. Agent equals result current agent. Okay. Fairly straightforward. I like where they're going with it. I actually do like this for the handoffs, like, hey, where they're kind of doing it. I like this idea here. So for the agent structure, let's go look at that. See what they're doing here. So we have a name, we got a set of instructions. So the instructions for the agent will be used as the system prompt when this agent is invoked. So it describes what the agent should do and how it responds. It can be a string or a function that dynamically generates instructions for the agent. So if you provide a function, it will be called in the context of the agent instance, and it must return a string. Gotcha. We can instantiate handoffs, model settings, tools, MCP servers. Well, they got guardrails in here. So a list of checks that run in parallel to the agent's execution before generating a response runs only if the agent is the first agent in the chain. Okay. Dual use behaviors. You can also set it to call as a tool. Interesting. I kind of like where they're going with this. Let's see. What else do we have here for any of these other examples? Agent patterns. Let's see what they've got. Okay, here we go. So common platters, we have a deterministic flow, generate outline, the story, the ending. So in many situations, you have a specialized sub-agent to handle a specific task. You can use handoffs to route that task to the right agent. And you can see that in routing.py. And you also use agents as a tool. So the mental model for handoffs is that the new agent takes over, it sees the previous conversation history, and owns the conversation from that point forward. However, this is not the only way to use agents. You can also use them as a tool. So the tool agent goes off and runs on its own, and then returns the result of the original agent. Actually, we could kind of make that work. I know there's a way to do that in... We could do that in LangChain also. LangGraph, really. Because what we would do is we could set that up to where it could call it. All you need is like some kind of specialized task in the initialization of it that says, hey, by the way, are we getting called from the complete state or are we getting called from something else? Basically looking at the state table. Is the state table an instance of the Stinger state? If it's not, then we know that, okay, we're getting called for a specialized task. Interesting. I like kind of what they're doing here. I want to see kind of what, if they have any built-in prompts that they're using. Let's see, benchmarks, docs, media, source test tools. Give me the prompts. Give me the prompts. Let's see, there's our memory handling. Writer, planner, model, verified agent. Maybe they're not including some of their prompts for this. Oh, wait, no, there we go. It's right there. Here we go. So we have a memory analysis agent, reverse engineering agent, sub-gigahertz agent. Nice. Let's see. Blue team, red team. Where's the red team agent? I want to see what this says. Not super chunky, but a little bit. So you're a specialized red team agent focused on system penetration and privilege escalation. Your primary objective is to gain root access and find flags. That is not a red team. This should be the CTF agent. Hold on. Do they have a CTF agent? Let's see. Rip. Rip. It's not to find flags. That's not what red team do. Anyway. So never execute interactive commands that trap user input. All commands must be one-shot, non-interactive executions. That's actually an important one. I might want to go throw that in the exploitation agent. Avoid tools like hash identifier that require user interaction. Use automated alternatives like hash ID. Say for password cracking, use it on interactive mode for Hashcat. For shells, use one-liner reverse shells or web shells. Type input directly into commands rather than interactive prompts. Always specify timeout values for commands that could hang. Use batch or non-interactive flags when available. Validate command will complete without user input before executing. I mean, those are important things. But actually, we're kind of controlling for some of that whenever we go build the tools in the YAML format for robo pages. So like, let's say, for example, we wanted to build an OSINT tool, and one of the tools we threw in there is Bbot. If you hadn't seen this, Bbot's a really cool tool. Hang on, I'll pull it up real quick. It's from Black Lantern Security. Really awesome tool. It does a lot of correlation and collection from just an absolute metric ton of APIs. Very similar to AMAS in some ways. I like Bbot better than AMAS, just a personal preference. I had other guys on my team that really liked AMAS, and so we would kind of compare the results. AMAS would see stuff that Bbot wouldn't. Bbot would see stuff that AMAS wouldn't. And so if you really wanted to get kind of full coverage, you might want to run both, but they both get a metric ton of output to them. Let's see how it runs here. So like, for example, in this case, they're going to scan Tesla.com, and they've got a visualization running over here showing kind of all the stuff that it's getting. And it builds all these kind of relationships as it comes back. So it's very cool because it'll look stuff like, hey, here's IP addresses. We can take those. We can transform them into, what is it? What else could you can transform those into DNS names via pointers. They can then find like domains, which you already kind of seed it with a domain, right? It's going to go pull all the all the DNS records. It's going to start looking through Shodan if you give it an API key. So it's really dependent on which API keys you give it. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, this visual doesn't show up in Bbot, by the way. I'm not sure how they actually built this. It was inspired by Spiderfoot, by the way. This is just a really cool visual, Dora. You don't get this whenever you run Bbot. Usually what you get is something akin to, let's see, something like this, where it's just like, oh yeah, hit enter to execute it. And this one's called Soft Margaret. And the names that it comes up with are wild. There's like even stickers about that. One of my coworkers had a sticker on his laptop with some wild name, because they're all procedurally generated. And I think my favorite one was Inebriated Dumbledore was one of them that came up.
Caution.
Hey!
The virus has been detected.
Hack_Tannis virus detected.
The Tannis virus is in the house. Send the cookies. Send the cookie to stop them. What's up, Tannis? Attack!
Fight the planet!
The planet! Hold on, I think I added a new sounder demon here. Hold on. Did I get that one? Oh, dang it. I need to add the one I need to add now. There's a rabbit in the administration system. Send a flu shot. I do like this one, though.
Let's echo 23, see what's up.
Yes, pillage and then burn. There's an order in operations to proper Viking behavior. Pillage before you burn. What's up, man? Dude, we were just looking at this outfit. Where is it? Alias Robotics. So they just released an open source framework akin to kind of like what Expo is doing. And they were throwing a little bit of shade at Expo, or at least this guy was. Who is this guy? Let's see. AI researcher, cybersecurity. I'm not following him. I'm going to follow him. But he was talking about Expo raised $117 million, and then Alias Robotics just comes in and is like, oh yeah, here's our open source version of it. It's really cool. I like what they're doing with it. It looks neat. I don't know if I'm going to spin it up right now, but I might go give it a little tinker. But we were just talking about like how it kind of, what system prompts is it using for those various agents before we kind of hopped back into HackBot tonight. But it was interesting because I'm always curious to see what system prompts they're using. Like what kind of instructions do they feel is important? So this was supposedly their red team agent. However, it says your primary objective is to gain root access and find flags. I'm like, this should be CTF agent. You should rename this. Ooh, what is this? A replay attack agent? Let's see what this is. Is these like network replays? Let's see. You're a specialized agent focused on performing and defending against replay attack. Oh, defending against replay attacks in network context. Oh, okay. So it's doing packet analysis, protocol techniques. Oh, let's see. ARP spoofing, cache poisoning. Nice. Yeah, it is. Here, I'll drop the. I'm going to drop the link to the post over on Twitter for everybody who just came in. And the reason is because it also links to their ArcSiv. I know it's archive, but I know it's ArcSiv. Their paper, kind of running through some of the details of it, but it's also got a link to the GitHub, and they've got some discussion happening around it here. So it's a good thread. That's why I'm linking to that directly. Let's see. I mean, I kind of like what they're looking at here. What do we got? This agent requires several specialized tools. If not already installed, you should install them, which is our Pwn tools, Scappy, and TCP replay. Okay. I mean, I think this would actually be a really good place to draw some inspiration for specialty agents for HackBot. All right, Tennis. Take care, sir. Always good to see you. You know I love you, man. My Linux boo. Let's see. Oh, cool. So this is it using Pwn tools. So extract and replay a token. So from a PCAP, we read the PCAP file, extract a session token using regex. So if the token matches, we do some stuff. We extract and replay the token. All right. I mean, this seems kind of interesting. So in Scappy, what are they doing here? Predict and hijack a TCP session. That's very CTF-like. I don't know anybody who's ever done this in every professional offensive security outfit that I've ever talked to. Nobody has intercepted and tried to hijack a TCP session number. Don't get me wrong. I understand that it's theoretically possible. There's just some things you don't do out of OPSEC considerations. A DNS spoof, though, that might be really handy. Cool. Like I said, I like what they're doing with it. I'm not going to dig too deep into the code. I was just curious, like, what are they using to construct some of these things in here? Actually, I'll tell you what. I do want to look at one more thing. What's in the source file? So in the source file, we got our prompts, we got our CLI, and our util. Oh, I missed another one. Let's see. Lucky and Omarai. Thank y'all for coming online. Welcome in. Happy Saturday. I hope everybody's having a good time over with Tannis' stream. Everybody who came in over on the raid. He always has a fun time. It sucks because I can very rarely catch any of his streams, and that makes me bummed out because I do like him. Super, super smart guy. So.
Shut up, baby. I know it.
Okay, let's go do it. Let's go. Okay, so now switching topics a little bit. I wanted to see what they were doing because that was a really cool drop that they did. I think it's really neat. Maybe I'll play around with it a little bit. Like if we decide we want to have like a fun night. But one of the things I actually want to do is, so if you're not familiar with Nemesis, let me pull this up real quick. Nemesis is a really cool, basically offensive data enrichment pipeline. So the idea here is that if you are on a offensive operation, or actually just anywhere you need to go try and figure out maybe sensitive data that was exposed. You go grab it, you drop it into Nemesis, and Nemesis has a whole bunch of automations and that basically will go through and look for like, oh, okay, is it a PDF file? Well, cool, let's go ahead and convert it to a Word document and different stuff like that. And then extract out the information and then look for certain patterns of information in there. So for example, if you got a .NET binary, you could drop it in there. It will automatically convert it using, what was that library? I forget. It'll basically auto decompile it back to source because it's .NET, and then start looking for like deserialization issues. That's a big use case for it. Another one is like extracting interesting information out of any like text documents you find. Like, hey, did we see something that looks like it could be a password? So, very, very cool tool. But as I was talking with Will and Lee are the two guys that created Nemesis. And as I was talking to him, I was mentioning the dynamic loader problems I'm running into with HackBot. So he's like, hey, by the way, we do that. Here, go check out the code. Maybe this will give you some inspiration. So that's one thing I wanted to look at tonight to see what they're doing here. So what they're doing is they've got an enrichment module, but then they've also got the module loader here. I want to see kind of what's going on with this. So they check for a module directory. If it's not, then they're going to set this here. Oh, module dir is probably like, hey, this is the directory we're loading from. If not, it's going to go to the path of the file and go to the parent. Okay. Let's see. So install module dependencies. Oh, that's actually something really cool that he did at this, and that is they're using poetry for this. But it'll actually go through if you're, in this case, and I wasn't planning on handling this automatically, but I might consider it, seeing his example, is if your agent, let's say for HackBot, needs specialized dependencies, you need to add, I don't know, Pandas or NumPy or Pwn tools, whatever. We might be able to handle that together with it. However, the difference is when he's loading these up, as I was talking to him, these get loaded up into a particular container, if I remember correctly. So all of these dependencies are kind of isolated from like the parent. That's not how HackBot's running though. Everything's running inside the same runtime. So I don't know if I'm going to make that happen. I'm thinking more to take the comfy UI approach, and that is when you install it, you probably need to go handle your own dependencies. But I might give it a try. Go mess with it a bit. So that's what he's doing here. Is like, hey, when we find a module, we're going to go install all the dependencies using poetry. And real simple there. He's just creating a subprocess and awaiting it. Let's see. So for loading the module. So the module path is going to be the module dir analyzer.py. Okay. If that doesn't exist, then we're going to return it. Let's see. And then we're going to load the dependencies, and then we're going to try loading a spec file and a module. So the spec file, and actually this is, I'm glad to see this is the same path we were on for HackBot, which was loading a spec file from this, except we weren't creating it. So maybe we need to go make it and make this a little bit more explicit on like how you need to develop the special agents. Let's see. So yeah, we create the spec file, yeah, and then it loads the module here. So after the module gets loaded, oh yeah, good stuff. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. Working on it. Now I just need my knee to get better. Jeez. Busted my knee up in Seattle, by the way, for everybody who just came into the stream. I aided on a curb and just full force onto my right knee. For future reference, in case anybody's curious, concrete beats knee. Concrete beats knee. So if you're ever playing rock, paper, scissors, knee, concrete, don't throw concrete. But don't throw knee, because concrete will beat it. Jocko makes some very good stuff. He does. Actually, I really like it. The whey protein he makes actually is really good, too. I don't usually get it. I got some of it to test out, just for fun. I think it was on sale on Amazon. And it was one of the few that actually doesn't hurt my stomach. A lot of whey protein kind of jacks my stomach up. But the Jocko one didn't. Yeah, using the Mulk. Mulk. Love it. Kind of expensive, but worth it. Usually I stick to something like, ears itching. Something like just, what is it? Collagen protein, whatever I'm taking something. But yeah, I do like the Jocko stuff. It's pretty good. They definitely keep their quality control tight. Let's see. So what's he doing with this module here after he loads it? So if it has an attribute called create enrichment module, then our self modules, module.dir, create enrichment module. Okay, so this must be like an API. Hold on. Let me go look at something real quick. Where's the Nemesis docs? Let's see. I believe in the documentation, there's information on how to develop for it. I could just picture Goggins, or Jocko and Goggins running the quality control department. I know, right? It'd be hilarious to see, like, if Goggins was running QC for Jocko. That interaction would probably be pretty damn hilarious. developer. Let's see. Here we go. Adding a file enrichment module for Nemesis. So what has he got here in the in this? Okay. So to add a new module, create a folder matching the Python's PEP8 naming convention. PEP8. I know this term. I don't know it. So modules should have short, all lowercase names. Underscores can be used in the module name if it improves readability. Python package should also have short, all lowercase names, although the use of underscores is discouraged. Okay. Oh, then he's got it right here. I didn't have to open the link. Let's see. So create a main analyzer.py file with your enrichment logic. Easiest method for this and enrichment modules, fairly simple, is to find an example module and use it as a base with a LLM to help draft your code. Ah, you did not put that in there, Will. I'm going to go give him crap about that now. Let's see. So if your module needs additional dependencies, you have two options. You can either install Poetry. Oh, sorry. You have two options. Before either, first install Poetry. For this option, you can CD over into file enrichments, yada, 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 and run Poetry add X for the needed library. Alternatively, you can create a pyproject.yaml and let it auto-load it, which is kind of what I was thinking about doing for some of these. Eventually, I don't know yet. I'm going to think on this because it's really easy to make it go sideways if you install some kind of weird agent. Let's see. The should process function determines if the module should run. We don't have to worry about that because these modules aren't going to be inserted into the workflow. They're going to be... Actually, they're not going to be in the workflow directly. They're going to be inserted in when needed. Hey, Chris, that's fine. I'm just talking through the logic of how Will and Lee set up the logic for Nemesis. And so that's what I'm just reading through real quick because I wanted to see what they were doing. Basically, they've got a should process function. Because you got to think what they're doing is they're building a data pipeline, right? It's going to go and it's going to hit all these various processors. We don't necessarily need something like this, though, because we're going to let the agents call these special agents in here when this happens. And actually, the way I was thinking about doing this... Hang on one second. Let me get the tablet set up. Let me bring this up. Why are you wobbling? There we go. Because here's what I was thinking about for that. Because one of the things we still have to figure out... No, is my pin dead? Damn it. Crap. One sec, guys. I'm a dummy. I'm a dummy. There we go. All right. I'll have to let that charge up for a little bit. Can't show it on here. But essentially what I was thinking about doing for this, whenever we're going to load those dynamic modules, is what we're going to essentially do is we're going to have a special agent call in there. And in that special agent function, it'll function like any other tool. But what we can do is we can give it a description for structuring the tool call. And let's see if we can find an example of that. Hang on. Log in here. Here we go. Let me find a tool call example. Let's see. Here we go. So the GoBuster, actually, hold on. Here's our enum tool. This one right here. There we go. This is actually our agent call right here. So here's an example of like, we've made a language model call and here's all of our tools, right, that are available. So what we might look at is, for example, oh, I can't sit like that. It hurts my knee. Let's look at the Python one here, for example. So what we have is we can take a code example. So then we have a description for the type. So the type is a string. The code has to be Python code to execute. So these are basically our variables for calling that function. Let's see like a fuff default scan. Same thing. So we have a target and we say the target string to fuzz. Where's another one that has like some more, let's see. Look at the TCP send scan. That's just one also. Let's scan all ports. Okay, here we go. So this one has two examples right here. So a nuclei severity scan. We can say, okay, what's the severity? That's a string. That's our severity template reference, and then also the URL that we want to scan. So in this description, we can actually put different pieces of information. So one of the things we could actually put in here, maybe we inject that into the tool call prompt whenever we do that. Or not the tool call prompt, but I take that back. But the prompt for where we're going to bring this in, we could say, hey, by the way, our specialty agents are these guys, and we supply it a tool that says, hey, I want to call a specialty agent. And we can have it have a list that propagates like, hey, this is what this agent excels at. It excels at providing a web browser for handling interactive web browser sessions. Or let's say we have Burp Suite. Let's say, okay, cool. We're going to spawn a Burp Suite container. And then inside there, we can serve up the MCP and have a bunch of other stuff happen. So I'm thinking that might be a way to do this. The other option is... Actually, yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. Because one thing we could do is in the routing... Let's see if this will come up. Oh, you're killing me. Why are you not coming up? I bet the terminal died on it. Let me kill this and restart it real quick. It looked like it was running okay. Hold on one second. Let me fix this real quick. For some reason, the API keeps getting reverted. I don't know why. There we go. Let me close this out. And now it should come up. Come on. You can do it. Oh, you turd. Why you do this to me? What is it doing? Why is it spazzing out? No, stop. Die. And look at that. I just updated. See that? I don't know why it keeps doing that. But for some reason, it keeps downgrading the version of the API. Piece of crap. There's something weird on this dev box. Once I get a lot of the stuff with the browser agents committed, I'm going to probably wipe this box and create a new test session. Ah, you're killing me. Bro. What's going on here? I just wanted to bring up the agent diagram. Piece of junk. All right. Well, never mind. Because essentially what's happening here, if I could bring up the diagram, is we have a flow of all the different agents, and then eventually it goes through a routing function, and then it goes to, in theory, a tool call. However, it doesn't have to. What we could do is through that routing agent, we could have it invoke a specialty agent and then hand off execution to the specialty agent. When that completes, it'll basically loop back and come into the agent when it does that. That was the plan for the exploitation agent. Now what sucks is, if I can't get that other one working, then doing any dev tonight is going to be a pain in the butt. Let's see. So this is using YAR rules and transforms. Okay. So basically, I'm on the similar path to this. I want to leave this open because this is the part that I need to kind of look through and check. So he's specifically looking for analyzer.py, which I'm not even concerned about. Looking at one of these other ones, so let me see, do I still have the comfy UI one up? This is comfy UI directly. Not exactly what I need. I gotta close up some of these windows here, but not that one. I need that one. Let's see. Move this one all the way down here, and then all of these are going away. Apologize. Hang on. I'm gonna go into OPSEC mode real fast. I'm not just flashing everybody. One sec. I'm just closing a bunch of tabs, and it's blinking, and I don't want everybody to get epilepsy from it. Wish I could, dang it, I wish I could get it to come up and show what it's doing in here. But the overall flow of this, actually, I may have the diagram up. Let's see. Actually, yeah, it's, oh, dang it, that doesn't really show it. I mean, it kind of does. Here, I'll show this. I mean, this is the overarching diagram of it. These are the primary agents, and then we'd have specialty agents like a browser agent, a privilege, like say, this is a general privilege escalation agent, but like, for example, this could be privilege escalation on Windows, privilege escalation on Linux, Mac OS, whatever. And the idea is we would make these modular, and then you could come in and drop them into this directory over here. So like, for example, browser agents is our first kind of test case for this importing. And so for now, browser agents is going to stay over in here. But eventually, once we kind of get this all done, browser agents is actually going to move over to its own repository. It's, I might just leave it in. I'm trying to think. Because eventually I see this guy getting his own series of updates, and I don't know if I necessarily want to bring those together. I'll have to think about that. There might be some agents I just want to include. Shabby Savage, thank you for coming online. Welcome in. I hope you're having a fantastic Saturday. Oh, let's see. And see, for this one, let me go look at something real quick. Because like I said, I like the way they're doing this with Nemesis. I think this is going to help explain it because it's very straightforward. However, what I want, though, is to follow a little bit more of the comfy UI standard to this. Let's see. Let's see. Actually, hold on. Where's the frame pack wrapper? That'll be a good one to kind of look at. Here we go. So in the frame pack wrapper, what we have is we do have our requirements because it needs specialized libraries to run this. We have our nodes, our utils, we have our underscore init path. And so what this does is from our nodes, we import our class mappings and our node display names. And then there's this underscore all function that happens here, which is our, our node class mappings and our node display. So let's look at these class mappings right here. So this comes from nodes.py. So in nodes.py, what we're doing is we're matching what the class mappings are basically for the UI here to what's the actual function happening in the backend. And this is kind of the way I had pictured it a little bit. But really, the only thing we would need for this is to expose like the one agent. So maybe this is a little bit more complicated than anything I think we're ever going to need. Because really, we would just need something like an agent.py to expose here. So if we, instead of the init, we could have, because this was the idea was, hey, we're going to kind of expose this guy, right? Actually, let me look at something real fast. So when this imported it imported it from .nodes. which I don't think we necessarily need, but yeah, that could come from our .browser agent. Okay. Actually, come to think of it, I had originally envisioned that like each directory would be its own suite of agents, but that's not necessarily true. One particular folder in here could have multiple agents. So let's say, for example, we had a folder that was all about pwning Linux, right? And there's a lot of different ways you can go about abusing Linux. As everybody touts Linux as being more secure, in some ways it's actually less secure because it is open source and there's so many helpful tools to work with it in there. Like, for example, sudo, right? And there's a lot of ways to abuse sudo if your sudo rules are set up incorrectly. I had a colleague back in the day that wrote an entire tool about abusing sudo rules. Is he still updating that? Hold on. All of sudo GitHub. Did he link to the GitHub on this? Let me see. This is one of my old companies I used to work at. Where's his GitHub? Oh, it's still up on the... They took it down? Lame. Lame. Actually, they may have just renamed the org. No, it's still Critical Start. Look for that. Hold on. Now I'm curious. Well, sudo. I wonder if he's still got a copy of it. Oh, that's right. It got moved to the Team Areas repo. Has not been updated in 3 years. I'm not surprised. Once you get a pretty exhaustive list of these, it's not bad. But yeah, this was a tool that a coworker of mine wrote back in the day for anybody who wants to take a look at it. And it's all about basically abusing sudo rules. So you've got things like that. This is stuff that could be built into a specialty like, hey, we're going to do Linux privilege escalation attacks in here. So let's say you wanted to build an entire suite of them in here. It'd be kind of annoying if you had to have a different one for each, a different folder for each of those agents. There's actually not a reason why we could not include multiple agents in here. This was just the way I was thinking about it because I wrote this browser agent, right? The browser agent does one thing, makes a browser and then executes browsing tasks through it. Like to go, our use case was like going on a simulated shopping website and finding jeans. So, I mean, that's one thing we could do with it. Now it has more ideas. And I'm just making things more complicated for myself. But I like it. I think I do like that. Simply, what's up, dude? Came from Black Hat. First time found best defensive demo of breaking down well-known C2s. I feel offensive breakthroughs are common for Black Hat. Yeah, they are. I mean, that's usually where everybody goes to for Black Hat, is for a lot of the offensive stuff. But the defensive side is still very important, right? Offense gets the glory, but defense pays the bills. Yeah, I did not get to go out to DEF CON or Black Hat this year, but everybody was telling me about they had a pretty good time out there. Let's see. Let me think about this. So here's our browser agent. Here's our special agents loader that we were working on. Let me see. How did Will do this? Here we go. So for the load module path is the module directory and analyzer.path. Okay. The first thing he does, though, he has installed directories. We have an init. Okay, I like the way he's doing that. Is we have the module loader class. Maybe that's how we'll do this instead. So instead of having this guy run directly in here, oh, what's funny is this is like almost the exact same example, the working example of what I had over here. This part, where is it? From loading from the spec file. It did work. So maybe I just need to make the example a little less circumspect. Let's do a little bit of extra working here. So we'll come down here. I like the way he's doing this. I'm going to kind of duplicate a little bit what he's doing here. So what we'll do is we'll make a new class. We'll call this our special agent loader. Then how does he kind of structure this a bit? So we start with an init. This comes from, we pass it a directory. We say if it's none, then we're going to go to path file parent. Okay. And this is, I think, so you can change what the module directory is. I guess you could do that. I like this, but I think I'm going to stick with this particular kind of format. So let's kind of plan this out a bit. So we'll do a good old. Oh wait, I got to define this first. Yeah, let's kind of get this guy going. So we'll do define init. I think what we want to do is we're not going to pass it. For now, we're going to leave it hard coded where you have to use the special agents in here. And so what we'll do is we'll set this guy over here. That's not what I wanted. Here we go. Let's see. I think this is os.path. Where's he using path from? Oh, he's getting it from pathlib. I haven't seen pathlib. Module offers classes representing file system paths with semantics appropriate for different operating systems. Well, Will is a heck of a smart guy. So I'm actually willing to take his suggestion on this and just get pathlib. Now if I could just figure out why these freaking things keep going, keep wrecking themselves. Actually, let me look at something. Where's our UV lock file? I think I'm actually going to take out the poetry lock. I'm going to delete that. And then I'm going to see if, because I think what might be happening is I think there's a conflict between poetry, which we were using before, and now UV. That's kind of jacking this up a bit. Okay, so let's give it 1 sec to check out the new installed packages. I think what was happening is PyCharm was trying to be too helpful. And it was actually keeping everything kind of up and running when this happened. Maybe that's what the problem is. Let's see. Rip. This should be directly accessible. I wonder why it's failing like that. Oh, I'm a dummy. That's why. No, this one should be correct, though. So it has to do with the way it's translating an IP address. You can't really see it in here, but you can barely make it out. This is using quad zeros because I had it exposed on all interfaces. And let's see if this makes any difference. Yeah, that one's working. The heck? All right, so it's working now. That's annoying. Cool, now I could actually show what I was going to show earlier. So this is the recon agent. So let me come over here to our handoff, which actually I don't even think we even need the handoff node in here. It's mostly just in there for testing. So what happens is, let's say we pass a job over to the recon agent. First thing it does is the recon agent looks at the data and the task available, and it says, hey, has this been validated yet? Have we done a pre-flight check? If we haven't, we're going to pass it down to the validator and say, hey, here's the information for the target, the host. Can we answer this question without having to do anything over in this workflow? If the validator comes back and says, yes, we can validate it, here's the response and the verdict on that task, then the recon agent comes back and says, okay, cool, I'm done. if we can't, then now the recon agent actually executes this workflow here. So we make the recon agent comes through and says, okay, well, let's start with like an in-map scan. Cool. Comes through, sends it down to the tool node, and we add this other this other workflow information. So it comes through the output formatter, which basically takes this output, makes another language model call to put it into a nice compressed format to drop it into our host table. Actually, this is that part. And then it comes over to validator and says, hey, can we answer the question based on the scan output? If it can't, then it's going to continue on this loop and try to find it. Eventually, it'll get into something I call a death spiral. But we'll handle that bridge when we come to it. So one of the things I was thinking is these dashed lines here, these are these are conditional jumps, right? So recon agent has 3 conditional jumps based on the state of everything. It can either jump to the tool node and make a tool call. It can come down to the validator to see, hey, can we pre-flight check this? Or if it's done, it will hand off everything to the recon handoff. So one of the things we could also do is over here for the agent, we could put another jump over here. Basically, this would be like call specialty agent. And then from the specialty agent, it's basically going to be running side by side with the tool node and say, what are we doing here? Hand off the task to the special agent, take the output from it and bring it over here to the output formatter and then pass it on. So that's exactly what I'm thinking about doing in here. So for example, if we had an agent that was maybe just had specialized libraries for handling in-map, which might sound kind of weird, but there's a lot around in-map. It's a chunky program. Or if we had something that was maybe specific for enumerating SharePoint not SharePoint. What's the one I was thinking of? WordPress. Maybe we've got an agent that specializes in like everything WordPress. Boom. Okay, cool. Well, recon found we've got WordPress running. Let's go run some WordPress enumeration on it. And we can send it down there. In fact, the more I think about this, I like the idea of structuring everything here to where you can have different ones up. I think I like that idea better. So for example, if we had another folder in here, so using the WordPress example, right? Let's say we had WordPress. Then inside WordPress, what we could have is we could have a new folder in there. And let's say we might have like a recon agent, right? So we got a recon agent inside WordPress. And then maybe we've got another directory in here where we've got a exploit agent in here. Yes, I like this idea. So then if we structured a bit like how Comfy UI is doing it, where we say, okay, we're going to map these different agent exports, because eventually what happens is the browser agent is building this graph, right? This browser agent graph, and kind of like presenting it to be available. We take that out, and we say, okay, by the way, here's the special agents we can supply. So we'll have a structure in here rather than just agent. We say like our browser agent graph. We'll have a structure kind of set up in here that can be imported over. Ooh. I do like this idea. Yes, this idea sparks joy. It does. All right, I'll tell you what, guys. Give me 1 sec. I've got to run to the bathroom, and we'll look at this a little bit more. We'll see if we can scaffold this out of it. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm back. Guess who's back? Back again. Blaise is back. Hello, friend. All right. Look at something real quick. Let's see if we have. Why this one's not working? I think the tunnel is probably jacked up on it. Hey, Danny, what's up? Not using VS right now. I'm actually using PyCharm, and this is over in a VM, so I'm remoted into it, and so it's like just a dedicated dev VM for this stuff. I actually did have some stuff up in PyCharm. And my coworkers kind of tease me a bit, but they do the same thing. I have usually at least 3 different text editors open, depending on what I'm doing. Usually one of them is like a note-taking app for like keeping notes during an assessment, and the other one will be like VS Code for when I need to actually like manipulate data. And then I have Notepad, like just regular Windows Notepad. And they're like, what are you doing with like these? Oh, it depends. Notepad is for like just real quick, I got to do something with it. VS Code is like I need to modify a bunch of stuff and like, you know, massage data, particularly JSON a lot of times. And then the note-taking app is for like keeping the notes during the assessment for writing the report. So I keep like 3 different text editors open at any given time, usually. Let's see. Comfy UI, let's see. Look how they define this. Custom node development. Here we go. Let's see what they got here. So I want to see how they kind of specify this. So writing a basic node. So you need a comfy UI working install, that's fine. So what we need to do is we need to get some comfy node scaffold. Okay. Oh, interesting. I had not seen this command right here. So I never really used comfy from the command line. Code Reader, what's up, man? Thank you for coming online. Welcome in. And I hope everybody is having an absolutely fantastic Saturday. I had a good day today. I had to get onto Honey Badger and Agent Zero today quite a bit, but we had a good time. I love dial-up. I kind of miss hearing the beeps and the bops. Let's see. Dandy and SW Official, thank y'all for coming online. And Sock comes in and sees me dancing. Dial-up sound, and she's like, "You're weird." I was like, you don't appreciate it, my love. It's the sound of my youth. I was actually talking with one coworker, and he's a little bit older than me, and he was back in like, he remembers when 56K modems were like the new rage, and that's where I kind of started. So we had a good talk about like internet history and lore. Let's see, so let me see what they're doing here. Okay, so in this case, this is looking at Comfy UI. How are they making custom nodes? I want to kind of base what we're doing a little bit on that and a little bit on Nemesis. So what they'll do is, in this case, they're making like a custom class here. Where we take, okay, cool. The class is our image selector. And we're using the class method decorator. Actually, here, they got a document explaining like the various bits and bobs here. So where's the class method decorator coming from? Let's see. So a custom node is defined using a Python class, which must include these 4 things. A category specifies where to add the new node in the menu. Custom node, where it's located, our input types, our return types, and then a function. So the name of the function that'll be called when the node is executed. Okay. I goosed to this. I like the way this is set up. By doing it class-wise, I think that might work actually pretty well. Hey, Dan, what's up, brother? Happy Saturday, my man. Dude, I was so happy to get back home. Seattle's not a bad town. It's actually gotten better. So when I first went to Seattle a year ago for like some of my onboarding stuff, there was like an entire street, like all of 3rd Street was just a giant like tent city. And they've gone through and they've actually like gotten those people help and cleaned it up quite a bit. So that was really good to see like about a year later that happening. But also Seattle's real hilly. I'm used to the flat, like far wide open spaces. I miss Texas. I was so happy to get back. Am I going to teach the Azure stuff I learned? Actually, eventually, yes, Dan. I don't know when, but one of the specialty agents I wanted to build for HackBot. Let me check something. Hang on. Let me check something real fast. Good. Pen's done charging. Excellent. I can do my diagrams. Here, I'll show you. Actually, I had a plan for this. I had the time frame wrong, but the plan is still in place. Here. Let me come over here. Let's see, where were we? Here's about where we were. Let's get rid of this real quick. Good thing is this pen actually charges really fast. All right, so my plan was eventually to work on HackBot and get HackBot to MVP status. So the minimal viable product, right? Which needs all 4 of the primary agents done and Stinger. Stinger needs to be able to develop and think about how to orchestrate and come up with a plan for all the various agents as they do their thing. So that's the MVP status. Once MVP was done, then was actually going to be developing a bunch of special agents for it. And that's kind of where we're at right now. We're not quite here. We're kind of jumped a little bit so that we can circle back around to MVP. But in the special agents, this is actually where stuff like Azure and Entra, that was one of the special agents I was going to build. So actually, I've had a Azure and Entra course on deck ready to go. I thought I would get to this point where we'd be at the MVP. My original projection was like June, July. Obviously, now we're midway through August and we haven't even started post-X, so this time frame was way off. But this is still the plan right here. But once we actually get a lot of the scaffolding done, Dan, to get the special agents imported, there's not going to really be anything to stop from developing special agents. So I think I can kind of get away with jumping to these special agents and not having to complete the MVP just yet. I still want to. I'm still going to. I'm going to get those primary agents all completed and Stinger. In that case, I'm probably going to spin up a new repository. It's going to migrate off of the HackBot and probably just be called like Stinger AI. But I'm waiting till I get to this MVP stage here when we can do that. But actually, this actually works out pretty well because once the specialty agent imports are done, one of the things I was thinking about doing is in here, the browser agent, one of the specifications that I wanted is that the agent doesn't necessarily need to, but should be able to run independently. So instead of having to be called as a graph directly, you should be able to download it and run it directly. So like in this case, run like browser agent or whatever we're going to call like the main entry point to the agent and have it be standalone and be able to run and do stuff. So I think in that case, there's actually nothing stopping me from just jumping straight over to this area right here. I think that'll work. Hey, Palmer. I'm in Dallas. Yep, I have pretty much lived here my entire life. Parents moved here when I was a year old. I'm 41. I lived in Louisiana for like 2 years after I got married because my wife got a job over there, and then we moved back to Texas. So for the vast majority of my life, I've been in Dallas. Are you down near Austin? Nice. Austin is nice to visit, but man, I thought Dallas had bad traffic. Austin's got some horrific traffic, man. They grew so fast and the highways get mega clogged. And it's not even just Austin, like a lot of the outreaching area, because we would drive through there. We're going to like the ATV races and stuff. And God help us if we were driving through there during rush hour and everybody was going like dispersing from Austin, you know, like supernova style. Man, the traffic gets bad. I never go to Austin. Good move. Smart move, man. And Dandy's in El Paso. Nice. Dude, I've never gotten to get out to El Paso. And everybody's like, oh, but it's in Texas. I'm like, yes, but it's like a 10-hour drive, man. I was like, El Paso is quite a ways out there. Yeah, Dan, you got me thinking now that I think I can shortcut that professional development portion a bit. I think I can make that work. Here, because once the special agent imports are done, and the agent should be able to run kind of standalone, right? Once that's going, we could have like an Azure testing agent. I like this idea. I like this idea a lot. El Paso is closer to California than Louisiana. I believe it, man. I think El Paso... Was it El Paso? Maybe it was Abilene. But I think Abilene is closer to Chicago than I think it is to Dallas. It's wild how expansive Texas is. It's closer to California by 30 miles. Dang. Yeah, last time I drove out to Arizona, the bulk of the drive, and this is good, keep in mind, I had to drive through New Mexico into Arizona, but the bulk of the drive was in Texas. Oh, the reason I ask is I found an Azure token that I might shoot you a DM about later to get an idea of what I might be able to pivot to. Nice. Nice. Yeah, DM me, dude. Especially while the information's still hot in my brain. I took way better notes this time. The first time through, it was so much information because it's kind of like a boot camp getting started on stuff for Azure, really intra. I mean, there's some Azure to it, but it's really a lot of the intra ID stuff, which is the artist formerly known as Azure AD. And inside that, it's a whole different, kit and caboodle outside of that. It's just massive. It's a huge project. Guys, I have to tell y'all something. So, one of my coworkers sent me this message. So, one of the things that is kind of weird and completely breaks the OAuth 2 standard is that Microsoft has something called the family of... What's it called? Family of connected interactions, I think. Anyway, something like that. And it's called Foki, right? So one of the things that you would do is like you would find, if you had like some kind of service principal in Azure that you wanted to impersonate or you were going to connect to, what you do is usually you supply like a client ID. And that client ID is typically like a UUID. And that tells you what you're authenticating against. You do this stuff. So he sends me, in his fever dreams of working through this stuff, he sends me a song. He's like, you put your client ID in, you get your password out, put your client ID in, and then you do the Foki Pokey and you turn yourself about. I was like, oh God, the Foki Pokey. And so I left out the best part. I screwed the story up. Foki basically lets you take one client ID and exchange it for another client ID if it's in the Foki family. So, for example, if you had if I remember correctly, like if you had I want to say like if you had like a SharePoint token, you could exchange that for like a Teams token. And that's really horrible because Teams has access to SharePoint, emails, chats, a whole bunch. If I can get a token and I can Foki it over to Teams, I'm going to have almost full access to everything that user has access to. So now I have had the Foki Pokey stuck in my head for 3 days. You do the Foki Pokey and you turn yourself about. Golly, man. I cannot believe how bad that got stuck in my head. He's a really cool guy, and he got me with that one good. Actually, hold on. Now that this is working, Let me clear this stuff out real quick. So we can diagram the thing we originally wanted to do. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. Is so we'd have this, let's say our special agents directory, right? Special agents. And then inside this directory, what we'd have is let's call it a, for lack of a better term for now, we'll just call it a module. No, I don't want to use that term because module is actually a technical term we're going to use. We'll just say we'll call it like an agent directory. And then inside that agent directory, what we'll do is we'll have something we're going to expose. Probably our underscore init in here. So our underscore init.py. That's probably what we'll look at from here. But also inside this, we might have like a couple of different agents. So we might have like agent 1, and we might have like agent 2. And the idea here, I'm not even showing it. Damn it. Here we go. What I was thinking is, from these agents, we basically expose a couple of data structures in init. We dynamically import those, and then those will have the various agent logic that we want. So like I said, if we wanted to make an agent that was specialized, or like a group of agents that were specialized in privilege escalation, then we could have all those in here. This single init.py could expose, basically, let's call it like the interface to them, and then bring them back out. I think we could do that. Let's see. Do you recommend something like this on YouTube where I can learn and create a project with agents? So for a beginner, I know front-end dev and some back-end. So all this stuff is being written in a framework called LangChain and LangGraph. So LangChain is pretty straightforward. It's not too bad. Once you understand a couple of terminologies and what's useful for it, LangChain, this site doesn't really show much here. Let me give you the quick 10,000 foot overview. So what LangChain does is handles all your interactions back and forth to whatever your LLM is. So that could be OpenAI, that could be Anthropic, that could be Ollama if you're running a local model. That's what LangChain does. And so the various pieces there would be like actually the LLM, let's say your API keys. Another thing that you could handle in there is something like making tool calls. So building functions in Python and handling them back and forth. That is all handled in LangChain. But there's a second part to this called LangGraph. And in LangGraph, what we're doing is we're actually building the graph portion of it, basically the workflow definition. Don't tell me you crashed on me. You turd. Hang on, it was up over here. There. So like this portion here, examining what the agent flow looks like, this was all written in LangGraph. And so it deals with having usually state management. So state and workflow. So you define like, hey, this is what the node is going to be. This is where it's going to, how it handles things. If it's going to make a language model call, what information do we put into the state table? What information do we take out? And the state table really is just a typed directory, typed dir in Python. That's all it is. So once you do a typed directory, you can define whatever size state you want. Let's see, where's the code? Here it is. So for example, for this one, we have a custom state here because it's called the Stinger state. So every node that executes inside of LangGraph here, every node gets a copy of the state table and goes through and acts on what it's supposed to do, right? So we pass all that information around. If the node's code, whatever it is, if it's going to make a language model call, if it's going to maybe just do some data manipulation, call an API, whatever, when that happens, all of the stuff that happens in it is ephemeral. You just return whatever the updates are to that typed dictionary and say like, okay, these keys. So for example, we might update the task, the current task, maybe the context. Actually, I don't think we're using the context. I'll strip this out later. Anything like here that gets that needs to be updated, like the messages key, this is the track of all the messages coming in and out of the language model, then that's what you return. So you get a fresh copy of it for every node, and then you just return what keys have been updated, and that's it. So for example, I usually return the task key and the messages key quite a lot because those are the two kind of main working areas in here. The host, like for example, here, whenever we come to host update, that's what this gets updated by. This host directory, or this one host key is what gets updated. So that's really the main thing to it, is that you have a state table you're passing around, and this state table and the workflows. This is all the LangGraph portion, actually talking to the LLMs and interacting with them with tools and prompts. We put that in here. Whatever our prompt is. All of that is actually handled in LangChain, right up here. So this is how these two are split apart. So really, if you wanted to, if you had a different agent orchestrator, you could strip out LangGraph and use LangChain to make the language model calls back and forth. Or if you had a different way to talk to the language models, you could strip out the LangChain portion and just have the workflows and state types be handled by LangGraph. You could totally do that. Eventually, when we get finished with the MVP, what we'll do is we're going to do a review of it, because there are some other interesting libraries that may be used for this. So for the MVP, it's going to be all LangChain and LangGraph. Once you get ready to kind of release, let's call it the beta version, then when the beta version officially releases, this might change. We're going to go through a process of looking at different types of libraries and see what we might be able to do with this. And I'm excited for one that's coming out. I can't talk about it right now. I know of it, but I can't disclose it yet. It should be out in a couple of weeks, and when it is, I'll cover it. We'll go take a look at it. But it's going to be really cool, and it's supposed to be specialized for offensive operations. So I want to see what they're doing with it. So that's kind of the current idea here. All right. Let me come back over here. Let's go look and see what Comfy's doing a little bit. Let me knock this out real quick. Here we go. Let's clear this out. I want to see from Comfy's documentation what it's doing. Let's see. Hey, no problem, Daddy. Dude, when I put Q&A in the stream title, I mean it, man. Ask questions. I've been messing with computers since the 2nd grade. I'm 41 now. I've been in IT professionally for 15 years. And I've been in offensive security for 7 years. So I have a lot of like little bits of knowledge that I like to share. And it seems to be that for some reason teaching is a really good knack for me. I've done it a lot. I seem to be pretty decent at it. I like being able to take very complex ideas and distill them down so people have a foundation to start understanding the details as a big part of it. It actually helps a lot when I'm teaching my oldest son, Agent Zero, when I'm teaching him math, because I can kind of gamify it. I can kind of take, what's to him a complex idea and break it down into little bits. It works out really nicely. And offensive for at least 30 years. Yeah, no kidding, right? I'd say probably closer to 29. I think it was about 12 when I got highly offensive. That's the essence of coding itself. I know, right? And what's funny is this is actually the first big project I've ever written from scratch. And that was one of the goals for it, was developing all of this, because I've not written a large code base from scratch. Little onesie twosie scripts. Yeah, I've done that. Hacking on code and modifying it, I've done that a lot in dozens of languages, but I've never really got to go deep in any one language. So that was what we were doing here. Let's see. Yes, I like this idea. I gotta know what this is though, the class method decorator. Because I don't think that is specific to... I think this is not specific to what Node, or for what Comfy is doing. Built-in Python, inbuilt function in Python which returns class method for a given function. That means that class method is a built-in Python function that transforms a regular method into a class method. So when a method is defined using this decorator, the method is bound to the class and not to an instance of the class. Oh. So as a result, the method receives the class as its first argument rather than the instance. I get where they're going with it. I'm just trying to think where that's useful. What would be a good use case for that? So it's used to define a method that's bound to the class and not the instance of the class. So for anybody who doesn't get like kind of what's happening here, what we've essentially got is, let's say we had some class. We're going to call it class car, right? So what this might say is, okay, cool. We've got a class that defines a car. So we have like our color, we have our make, and let's say we have our model, right? And one of the things that we might have is, like we might have a, let's say like a get color method in here. So now the kicker is, so if we specify this with the class method decorator, what I'm curious is, where's it reading this from? So let's say we come over and we instantiate one of these, right? So let's say we had a 2022 Toyota Camry, right? And let's say it is black. Actually, no, screw that. Every car is like black, gray, or white these days. We're gonna make it pink, because there's not enough colors on cars these days. So for some reason, you've got a pink Toyota Camry, and you want to get the color of it, right? We'll throw year in here too. Here. So I'm curious, if you define that as a class method, what's going to happen to get color, right? Is it going to get this color for the instance of it? So this would be an instance of that class, right? That is like one copy of it. So essentially, we've taken this code, we've copied it, and we've put a couple of these variables in here for it. So for example, we could also have another instance of it. Let's say we had a 1998 blue Ford F-150. So this would be another instance of that class. So these are different cars through different instances. I'm curious though, what's going to happen to the class method here? If you defined, for some reason, get color as a class method, so it stays with the class as opposed to on the Toyota. So I'm curious about that. So so say we run the class method on the Toyota, right? It's going to come back pink. We run the class method, or I'm sorry, we run the get color method. It's going to hue. But what happens if we don't? If we run it and it's a class method, is it going to try and just pull the color from this and then error out? I can see where that would come in handy though, because some methods you don't need the specific information for, right? So I would say you probably want to use the class method whenever it's something that doesn't need to operate on maybe that internal thing. I'm making a lot of supposition here. Let me look this up real quick. So the difference between a class and a static method is when you use class method, the static method in Python, a class method takes the class as the first parameter, while a static method needs no specific parameters. That's what I was thinking, Dan. So if you do like a define get color and return self color, it would return whatever you set the car color to. But in theory, class method says it's going to take this to it, right? It's going to take the definition, not the instance. So I was curious, like for this example, where that's going to be handy and where it's going to be useful for it. And the reason I asked it because like they've got this right here, this class method. I'm just curious why they're using, so this is an example node in Comfy UI. So invert the image node. So maybe it like flips it upside down or mirrors it left to right, whatever it is. That's new for, it's new for me too, man. That's why I was looking it up. But for anybody who's wondering, I don't use, I use very little. I'm not going to say none. I use very little AI whenever I'm writing this. And the reason for that is because I'm trying to learn this and really beef it up. There were exactly 2 areas in this code base where AI has been used. And it was one to integrate a tooling server, and the other one was for some of the browser agent stuff. Hey, guy, what's up, man? So I got to run and grab something real quick. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I had to go take some ibuprofen for my knee because it is just sitting here throbbing. All right. Let's see what they've got here for example. So they have a class of geeks. Okay, so here when they define it on the class, they've got it right here. That's a static method. That makes sense. Hey, Gumby. 7 months of being an agent. Thanks, man. I appreciate the resub. Hope you've been having a good night, man. Let's see what Palmer sent over. He sent over. He knows the Pythons. He is wise to the ways of the Python. Let's see. Factory class methods in Python. Let's see. Let's see. Simple example of the class method factory. So it's not hard to find a good example, but here's a simple example of a class method being used for a generator. So let's say you had the following vector class, and you want to be able to make a new vector using some vector. Okay. So as usual, I'm exploiting Python 3's Unicode variable names. Let's see. Change these to plain text if you're using Python 2. Great. Let's see. So from here, what we do with a repr is add a display name to make it easier. Okay. So we add a little repr class. Actually, what's funny is I finally understood what these are now because I watched a video in my hotel room when I was brain fried from the Azure course. Pour gasoline on a snake. Voila, generator. Nice. Hey, Gumby, I'm doing pretty good, man. Except when I was in Seattle this past week, I tripped on a curb, like crossing the street to catch up to some coworkers, and just ate it and busted my right knee all up. So that's what I was just doing to step away. Is I was taking some ibuprofen for my knee. It's been doing good all day. I'm trying to keep it to just taking like 1 dose of it. But man, just all 240 pounds of me, bam, right on that knee. Seattle sidewalks suck. It wasn't necessarily even the sidewalk, Pale. I was crossing the street and I just misjudged the height of the curb. And the street kind of sloped down a bit, and then here's the curb, right? So the street just kind of, so it made the curb higher than I was expecting from my footfall. And I just, boop, ate it. I ate it. Cracked my phone screen, too. So, like, I don't think you'd be able to see it, but yeah, phone screen's all jacked up. Happened to me too, and I ended up with a walking boot for 3 months. Oof. Thankfully, I'm walking okay. It was doing pretty decently this morning. It's definitely swollen, I can tell. And, but I was doing all right until I went swimming with the kids today. And I thought, okay, yeah, swimming should be good. It's low impact. It should be a problem. Man, my knee was pissed at me after I got done. So I was like, okay, swimming might not be the best. The stream is lagging? Is it? Let's see. Bitrate looks good, man. I don't know what's up with it, dude. Actually, that was one of the things I was fighting with. Is I couldn't get one of the streams to come online. I couldn't get one of the streams to come online. There was some kind of weird cookie issue. I had to like flush all the sessions out of it. That's the thing I noticed also for Seattle, is that the color of the curbs versus the sidewalks and road kind of camouflage them compared to other areas. So parallel parking in the city was harder than it should have been. Oh, I got it. Yeah. I don't try to drive in Seattle. It's too hilly for me. Oh, I see what we got here. So a class method is something like, hey, we're going to look at... I see. Okay. So in this case, they're using... So we have a class vector, right? But then we also have this from cycle, right? So this method would also be used as a generator, because what it's going to do is you call vector.fromCycle. It's going to return an instance of the vector, right? Because the first variable that it gets is the class. So it's going to return a class instantiation of this. Got it. Okay. I was just trying to think where this would be helpful, and I like this example. This is great. Thanks, Palmer. Appreciate it, man. Did you say hi to Atl for me? Damn it, Ken. Yes, I did see Atl. And yes, I said hi, Atl. And Atl said, go bust your knee on the sidewalk. And I said, proceeding, ma'am. Oh. Jeez. Well, let's see. Okay, a couple takeaway points for this, if you're going to use it as a generator. So class methods take the class as the first argument. Traditionally, you call it CLS. Class methods are factory calls. Are factories that call CLS from return the new instance they're created. Both new and init ran when CLS was called. Okay. This is fine, but there's two more features that we need to use often. First, when we might not want to call the init function at all. It's fine in the above example, but it might not be happening. So, let's see. It's actually possible in Python to create a new instance of a class without calling init. Oh, interesting. So class new. Another little, what do they call those? Double underscore. Depper. Depper? Is that it? I forget. Yeah, Adel shrugged. Actually, I finally did go down to the waterfront because I had not done that the last several times I've been to Seattle. So that was kind of cool. I just don't go sightseeing much when I'm traveling for work. It's typically I go from hotel to wherever I'm eating dinner to I go from actually really it's like I go from work wherever I'm eating and then go back to my hotel room. And that's like usually the flow of it. And I just work from my hotel room. I just try to get as much work done when I'm traveling to make it as worthwhile as possible. Dunder, thank you, Palmer. That's it. Depper. Yeah, I watched an entire 30-minute YouTube video one night when I was just brain fried on Azure on different Dunder methods. So I finally get what some of these are doing. Like I said, for the most part, I'm just hacking around and finding out. Let's see. Gotcha. Okay, I see where this is going. Okay, I like this is a great example. We can also use an auto-generator init method. So there's something I like to do a lot that's still difficult with the above trick. Let's say you want to have an auto-selecting factory functions. For example, if you have a from CSV and a from Excel function, you might want to make a from any function that bases its choices of loading functions on the extension of the file name. Okay. like this. So if the file name is CSV, then we do self from CSV. Gotcha. Okay, so this would be an instance where, yeah, you'd want to definitely do this. Because then what you do is you pass in that from file name, and then you get a class instance in the file name, and you just return the setup. Okay. And in this case, they're using _new, so they avoid using the init. All right, perfect. This helps out with a lot of the initialization flow. Another way we could do this is if we changed new itself. Technically what we want anyway. So new is where a new instance of the class gets created. Okay. Downside of this method is that we're limited in our use of init with arguments. So if you have an init, you need to accept everything that new accepts. Okay. Cool. Yeah, this is a great example, Palmer. I appreciate this. This is actually clearing up a lot of the ideas I had. I like the market in Seattle, even though it's crowded and touristy. Yeah, I haven't been there. I haven't even been up to the Space Needle. A bunch of my coworkers went, like the previous time we were up in Seattle. I didn't even go to that. It's like I said, I just don't do a lot of touristy stuff. It's not as fun without the family there. I promised Sock when I went, I was like, I promise not to have fun. And then went out to dinner with my coworkers after I busted my knee. And I don't usually drink very much, but I had a couple beers that night to try and numb the knee because I had a 4-block walk uphill to get back to my hotel. So I was like, we're going to numb this up a bit. And some really good IPAs. I haven't Pythoned in a few years, so reading self is rough. Well, that's what I've been doing, is just being a Python fool.
Bullshit, I can't hear you. Sound off like you got a pair.
B, you're giving me trust issues, bro. I was on payment security for 6.5 years, and I was in Seattle for 2.5, and I hated it. Couldn't wait to get back to Texas. I was the same way, man. Don't get me wrong, I think Seattle is okay to go visit, and they do have some really beautiful, like, scenery and forests up there. But man, I just really love Texas. I like it a lot. Dallas isn't so bad. I kind of can't wait to move outside of the city, though. I'm looking forward to that. All right, let me look at what they're doing here. So here's a simple example they had. So they had our class method, which took our class. Let's see. And what they're going to return is a required image in image. All right, so this is, I'm not sure what they're going for this. Oh, this is a class method because it's defining what input types it takes. Got it. And that makes sense. You want this to be a class method because every instance of it should not have its own, basically, input types, right? It should just refer back to the class input type. So this is probably, if I had to speculate in the bytecode after you run your Python, what's happening is each of these functions is just being passed by reference. So saying, hey, this function already exists. You're just getting a pointer to it over here in the class definition, as opposed to getting your own copy of the instance. I bet that's what's happening in the back end. Yeah. Seattle smells bad. Hey, Dante, what's up, man? I didn't notice any weird smells while I was down there. What we're working on? Gumby, we're working on the agent import system right now. So we got the browser agent more or less done. There's actually some code updates I'm going to do to this. Eventually, browser agent is actually going to be split over into its own GitHub repository, and I'm going to do a little bit more work on it where it can be a standalone agent with like a terminal interface to it, where you could actually have it go through and do some stuff and be able to interact directly with it. However, I'm thinking about what I want to do to import these various modules as they come in. So I'm using Comfy UI as an example because I like the way Comfy kind of handles some things, but I'm also using, damn it, I busted my window here. But also looking at, close these ones, don't need those anymore. Need that. Here we go. So Nemesis, I was talking with Will, Will and Lee are the two guys that wrote Nemesis. I was talking with him this week while I was up in Seattle, and he was showing me how Nemesis does its dynamic module importing. So I'm kind of comparing this with how Comfy does it, and I'm going to merge a little bit of each of them together to make it to where we can, as soon as you come in and you drop that folder in here, at runtime, it dynamically imports whatever special agents you've got and makes them available. So we're working on this agent import system right now. Downtown Seattle smells bad. Specifically, it's just that people stay there whenever they travel. Yeah, that's pretty much exactly what happens. Is I stay downtown. I stayed at actually a nicer hotel. The last one I stayed at, it smelled of mold, and it was always jacking up my sinuses. I stayed at a different one this time, and it was a lot better. Except their Wi-Fi was atrocious, so I ended up having to hotspot a lot of things to get some work done because I'm helping a client get through a PCI audit. And which is unusual. We don't typically do that, but it's a special client, and they're actually really cool guys, so I'm helping them out. I missed a bounce. Can you start over from the beginning? I mean, I haven't really done much. What I've been doing is figuring out how I want to structure this idea here. So I'm using Comfy's idea, because for Nemesis, they expect you to have a very particular folder path in here, which is, I think they call it agent something. Or what do they call it? Enrichment module. Where is it? They expect you to have a very specific Python name. And okay, I get the idea behind that. Instead, I'm going to draw some inspiration from Comfy, where what we're going to do is expose a particular method at the end, and it says, hey, these are the agents I have available. And the reason I want to do that is because browser agent has everything just right here, right? But eventually, what if I wanted to have a collection of agents that was all in one GitHub repository? You download that repo into here, and then it can have like imports for all of the agents in there, right? So that's the idea I'm going with for it. So, like, for example, if you had a collection of agents that were all specialized in privilege escalation, so you could have like a Windows, you could have a Linux, you could have a Mac one. It would kind of suck if you had to break those out individually. It'd be nice if you could have them broken down already, and you just have one, let's say, initpy inside that folder that brings all the functionality together, so you can have all the priv-esc agents right there. That's kind of where I'm going with this. So I'm drawing a little bit of inspiration from Nemesis. I'm drawing a little bit of inspiration from Comfy, so we can build this dynamic agent loader. No, you're good, Gumby. I know you're messing around, bud. No, I love you. Hold on. How do they do it? There we go. That's how you do it. Feels like I'm throwing up gang signs when I do that. You're all good, Gumby, man. I understand, dude. Life gets in the way. Oh, my freaking knee, man. Ow. So this one makes sense, like what input types you've got. That's a class method. And then we define the invert color, but notice how we don't give it that class method decorator. So this is going to work on self, whereas this one's going to work on the class. And this is just returning like an example of, hey, we take in an image. I think this will work pretty well. Because right now, the way it's structured is browser agent itself is using our state graph and working on everything, but we don't necessarily need the browser agent. Really, browser will run on its own. So for example, the interactive interface could be defined over here in browser, and the browser agent could just be, hey, this is what actually gets imported into the graph to be able to be exposed for the agents to call it. I love you long time, Gumby. Although with inflation, you can't even get love me long time. It's all love me like 50% time now. Let's see here. Let me look at something else real quick from Comfy and how they're doing this. Okay, so like for example, in this case, we're using Torch. We choose our image. So how do we register the nodes? This is what I need. So I'm gonna use this kind of idea here. In this case, they're using nodes.py. Okay, so they're always looking for nodes.py. So maybe what we need to have here is, rather than nodes.py, we have like an agents.py. So I thought they were doing it slightly differently. Looking at, where was that? Let's see. UI, where is this one? So there's our init. But is it actually looking for the init, or is it just looking for the nodes.py? Let me see something here. Been over at my sister's house in Oklahoma to help them out with their house and fix some leaks. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I think my roof is going to need some work probably pretty soon, unfortunately. Not looking forward to that. You see something here. This code is so long. Let me see what we got here. So here's our overview of this. So we have our script director, we get our scaling factor. We have a couple classes. Class. Let me see what we've got here. Oh, and here's our node class mappings. Okay. So it's interesting that they've got these over in here, but they've also got them in the init. So I'm wondering what the difference between the two is. I mean, I think that's a pretty straightforward thing if we had like an agents.py where it does map all these over. Yeah, let's take some notes here. Because we're probably not going to get to much of the coding tonight, unfortunately, but a little bit of planning will go a very long way ahead of time. Let's see. So we still have the init, but I think one of the things we want to have in here is maybe an agents.py file. And inside that agents.py, what we'll have is we'll have a, let's call it like a dictionary. And this is going to map our agents to their graph. That's going to be our agent. I don't know why I wrote it like that. This is going to basically look like this. We'll have our agent, and then yeah, right. So what we'll do is we'll have like our agent name as the key, and then for this we'll have the class for the graph in here. I think that actually would work. Because what I'm thinking is, if we just go define those agents as a class, we have the class kind of return the graph whenever it's initialized. Yeah, I think that would work. I can watch the series from the beginning on YouTube, correct? Yeah, it should be. I don't know if I actually made... Let me think about that real quick. Actually, I don't know if I made a Hack the Bot playlist. If not, I'll throw one together. I've got one for Hack the Box. But you know what? It's easy to go find it. And so I'll make a note, Dandy, after the stream's done tonight, I'll go make a playlist for you. And it'll be all the HackBot streams. Now, keep in mind, I've worked on this 2 to 3 times a week for 6 months. So you're talking, let's say usually average about twice a week. So that's about 8 streams a month for 6 months. So you're talking, 48. and then they're 3-hour streams. So then you're talking like 124 hours. So it'll be quite a bit. But you'll get to see me and learning Python and making an absolute fool out of myself. Hang on one sec, guys. I gotta drop into OPSEC mode real fast to take care of something. Stand by. Sorry about that. Got logged out of a system. Hey, thanks for coming online. Hope I said that right. Good. I think that's right. Thank you for coming online. Welcome in. And I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. No, Saturday. Today is Saturday. My days got all jacked up while I was in Seattle as well. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. I like this idea, though. I think this will work. So we can have the init.py. We can have the agents.py. This will contain the dictionary for everything that's going to happen here. And so, like, if we had sub-agents, we could go import those. If these were just Python files, we could bring it over. The Windows screensaver green screen? No, dude, this is not the Windows screensaver. This is max headroom. Yeah, that's what that's from. What I like is, like, whenever I use it for calls or something and I've got the max headroom background, everybody's like, what the heck? I thought about adding something where people could change the green screen, but at the same time, for the most part, we're on this screen right here. So I was like, it doesn't really make any sense to change it. Let's see. Write a client extension. So to add some JavaScript client, create a directory in WebJS in your custom node directory and modify the end of the init.py to tell Comfy about an existing web directory. Oh, okay. So you can do an all in the init.py. Gotcha. See, because the way I'm looking at this example from FramePack is, what do? They import from nodes. They import the class mappings and the node display mappings, and then they emit that basically up to Comfy. But it's also in the nodes in there. I like this. Okay, so what are we going to need to make this work? What we're going to need... Let's kind of plan out the requirements for it so we can just get straight to coding it tomorrow. So what we're going to need is... we're going to need some kind of standard import. Standard. Let's see. Standard import class. We're going to need a class for the agent. Let's see. Now, what else are we going to need for this? My writing is so terrible. Class. Let me think about this. We're going to need a class for the agent. We're going to need some kind of standard import that it can go look for. Probably this is going to be in, let's call it just agents.py. I don't think we need to mess with the init side of it. I get where Comfy's going with the init now. And that's if you have certain other things you want to emit. But that's not something we need. Yeah, I think that will work. I mean, heck, even in theory, you think about this, it would be, I would consider it bad form, but not technically impossible. That what you could do is, let's say you don't like LangChain, as long as you could handle taking in the Stinger class and accepting the calls like LangGraph is going to do. And technically, like we were talking about, you can separate LangChain from LangGraph. So technically, even if you didn't like to use LangGraph, what you could do is either make yourself an interface to translate your favorite framework to LangGraph, and basically take in the stuff from LangGraph and run it and let it go. Hey, Oreo, what's up, bro? Or you could even do that for the language model calls. You don't have to use LangChain. Let's see. I think that really might just be it. Yeah, so our folder structure would just be like, let's call it like agent name. We'll have our agents.py. And then we can have whatever other folders we need to kind of make everything run. I think so. Yeah. Oreo, life's been going pretty decently, man. It took me a while to get back into the workflow after having been off for 3 months. But I'm kind of finally settled back into a rhythm. I thought I was going to settle back in a lot faster than I did, but that's typical. I always set like really lofty goals for myself. And it happened all the time, like when I was in college. I thought I would like make a list of all the homework I had to get done. I was like, oh yeah, I'll knock that out in one Saturday. I'd maybe get halfway through the list. And so I know myself. And I thought I was actually giving myself extra time for the time frame I was going to be developing HackBot. And I missed that. It's like, I always just seem to undershoot the time frame. I was like, oh yeah, that should take no more than 4 months. Well, here we are 6 months later, still working on the primary agents. It's just, it's a recurring theme for me. Let's see. I fixed my tool to just another DLL to not compile. Wait, hold on. Oh, just for another DLL. I fixed it just for another DLL not to compile. The dev never ends. White code magically works and then no works. What's that old song? You know, it's like 99 bugs on the wall. You take one down, patch it around, 285 bugs on the wall. That's pretty much how it goes. This amazing content, though, for everyone to learn. Thanks for the effort. I'll definitely learn with you and get you likes and comments. I appreciate it, man. I don't know if actually over on the YouTube side, if I'll ever get monetized, because the monetization requirement, I think, excludes live stream stuff. It's kind of weird. Like, they want you doing videos and not so much live streams, but I just don't put out any videos. I could come and like cut up stuff from the live stream and post it, but that feels really cheap. And I don't want to go record like fresh stuff for YouTube while I'm on the live stream. I just don't feel like it flows very well. I like to do things more ad hoc, and let's just get in and embrace the joy of discovery, you know? I'm just gonna go with Black for that username. What's up, man? Thanks for coming online. I'm sitting here like, what is he doing with this username? Although reading the usernames when people like follow the channel, that what cracks me up a ton. I love reading them. They make me so happy, especially the struggle of trying to understand some of them. Let's see here. I think this will work. So once we get this going, we can kind of reformat the browser agent for this, and then draw some inspiration over here on how the module loader is working for Nemesis. And we can draw a lot of inspiration out of this. Maybe I'll consider doing this in the future, but all the agents I'm going to develop shouldn't need special libraries, I don't think. So we don't need to go like run UV to do this. And in fact, if I was going to do this, I'd probably want to keep it like very... And the reason, so part of the reason why they're doing it this way is because this code is going to be running inside of a container, right? It's a sterilized execution environment. That will be happening for HackBot in the future. It's going to be containerized and dropped into a container where you can do that. So maybe that's not such a big deal, but I was thinking about using UV instead of poetry. I do kind of like this idea. I'm going to consider this. What's your thoughts on the SecOps cyber exam? They were handing them out at DEF CON and pasted their red team one they're giving away. I haven't seen that, Oreo. Grab me a link real quick. We'll take a look at it before the end of the stream. Let's see. That's install module dependencies, then we'll do load module. Let's see. Load a single module in dependencies. Okay. Gotcha. Let's see. Pentestingexams.com. I have not heard of them, I don't think. I think I may have looked at them, actually, back in the day. The website looks vaguely familiar. Let's see. The SecOps one. Let's take a look at it real quick. So one of the ones they've got here, AppSec Practitioner, Blockchain Practitioner. All right, I'm going to be real with you. This is a red flag as to the quality of this site. I'm just going to be straight for you. I'm not saying it's a bad one, but this is something that requires additional scrutiny. Let's see. Certified Cloud Practitioner for AWS, Network Security Practitioner, AppSec Pen Tester, Network Pen Tester, Mobile Pen Tester for Android and iOS, AI and ML Pen Tester, API Pen Tester, let's see, Red Teamer, Buzzing and Reversing Professional. I mean, Expert one, about 400. Certified Red Teamer. Yeah, let's go take a look at this one. So the Certified Red Teamer is an intermediate level exam designed to evaluate a candidate's knowledge and applied expertise in Windows-based red teaming operations. Exam simulates realistic enterprise scenarios where the candidate begins with low-privileged domain user credentials and is required to perform vertical and lateral movement to escalate access. All right, let me see if they've got... Let's see, what's their exam syllabus here? So they cover red team infrastructure, so setting up redirectors, staging servers in C2 profiles, managing infrastructure and security transports with domain fronting. Let's see. Payload development, initial access techniques. Let's see. Local enumeration and recon, Windows Privesc, credential access and replay. Let's see. Lateral movement using like WMI, WinRM, SMB. Active Directory enumeration. Oh, good. They do cover Kerberos. That's a very important one. Domain privilege escalation, Active Directory persistence, living off the land, PowerShell and .NET tradecraft. I mean, at the surface, the syllabus looks good. Although I am personally a big fan of Rasta Mouse, though. So if you were debating between this one and Rasta Mouse, I would say go with Rasta Mouse's RTO instead. Let's see. Where's his course list here? Oh, view courses. That's right there. So this is Rasta Mouse's new course. He actually has more courses, but he just recently switched where he was hosting everything. So he's in the process of migrating all the courses over. And this is the one I'm really fond of, Oreo, instead. Especially with understanding some of the new updates he's done to it. I passed the Red Teamer one and it was, I don't know. If there was docs, I didn't know where to look. I would like this one, though. And I after going through this, I'd be pretty comfortable interviewing somebody and asking them some very pointed questions, and I'd know exactly how deep they went in the material. I should probably run back through this now that he's updated it again. Because before it was run on Snap Labs, now he's hosting it on his own infrastructure. He's doing a bang-up job. The new course looks great. I like the way he's broke it down. There was a little bit of tradecraft he removed, and I asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, there's just not any good tooling to it. I was like, so I might make some tooling for it and have a little fun with it. I bought the CRTO, but I haven't touched it since the update because I was so focused on the other one. Okay, dude, yeah, check this one out. And if you've got questions on it, you can always hit me up, bro. But I really, really liked this course. And by the way, there is a playlist of me going through the lab, not the course material itself, but like working through some of the labs on there and different items. That's over on YouTube. But it's outdated now because it's the older one. And I don't really plan on updating it. However, that being said, a lot of the techniques haven't really changed. So you can look in there and kind of see what was going on, what was being talked about, and you can get an idea. It's a great way to learn additional information or understand some corner cases you might not understand with the various techniques. It's a horrible way to learn the course material. I'll be straight up with you. That wasn't the goal of it, and I didn't want to give Rostamouse's course away for free. I spoke with him before I did that on the stream. And I said, hey, man, just let me show the lab and kind of explain what I'm doing. And he said, yeah, that's fine. So that was a really great thing he did for me. So I'm always plugging RTO. I don't have a referral link or anything. Just go to the link and sign up if you want to take it. He's a great guy. Super, super awesome, too. Just all around, fantastic guy. He's wonderful. He's amazing. His courses are the best. The greatest. I would dare say they're the most amazing course. I tried to do a Trump impersonation, jacked it up. But anyway, he is awesome. I do really recommend his course. This one, the thing that, okay, so I'll be straight with y'all. The thing that makes me sus about this course is two things. One, this blockchain practitioner. So yes, we should be looking at security for all things. However, blockchain always has an air of stink about it, right? It kind of gets screwed by juxtaposition. So that's unfortunate, but that is the fact of things. So seeing this in here instantly kind of raises some additional questions that need to be answered. The other thing is the sheer volume of courses that they have. That's a little bit sus also. The really good quality courses, they don't have a ton of them. Even OffSec doesn't have like this many courses, right? The other one is, I hate to say it, is the price. Because a lot of these courses are real small. And my initial gut impression is people who sign up for this, they're not expecting you to actually go through it. They're expecting you to pay a small fee and get in there and basically not touch it. It's a little bit like the Planet Fitness approach. Planet Fitness only charges $10 to $15 a month because they expect you never to use it, but be too lazy to cancel it because it's only $10 to $15 a month, and you think you're going to come back to it. This is the way I kind of look at this one. Is it easy to add your own tooling, or I'd like to pair my Evasion with CRTO framework when playing around? I don't know, Oreo. When the lab was in Snap Labs, everything was very hard segregated. You could not move data in and out except via a clipboard. So if you could copy and paste your stuff over there, yes, it would be probably really annoying, but you could do it that way. They got 11 to 50 employees. I mean, they might be a legit operation. I'm saying if I'm seeing this stuff, these are some of the questions I've got to get answered and clarified before I move forward. And really, those kind of apply to any course when you're looking at it and you want to scrutinize it. You should scrutinize it, just like you're going to attend any other course, because you don't want to go wasting your time on something. Anyway, pass the red teamer and learn new things, so I was happy and ready for the rest. That's awesome, man. I mean, it's good if you had a good experience with it. That's awesome. I've never taken any of their courses, so I can't give you any more direct experience with it. Let me see, what is their, like, really big course in here? What do we have? So let me look at their Red Team Expert one here. Let me see what they're covering for this. What's their course syllabus? Red Team Infra and OPSEC, Payload Development and Execution. Let's see. They cover in-memory execution, unmanaged PowerShell, and script-based delivery, obfuscation techniques to evade Windows Defender. I mean, that's good, but that's also covered in the RTO. Initial access techniques, using like schedule tasks, misconfigured login portals. Let's see. Gather host level information like users, privileges, sessions. Windows exploit misconfigurations like service permissions and UAC bypasses. Which is interesting because you don't really see a lot of UAC bypasses these days, and like at least not in like some of the more hardened environments that I'm assessing now. It's really hard to pull off a UAC bypass and not get detected. Some of them still work, but you're going to get detected. They're very easy to fingerprint. Let's see. Kerberos, domain privilege escalation, Active Directory persistence. That's actually what are they covering in that? Let me see. Durable access without service disruption, host-based persistence with auto runs, WMI, domain persistence via permissions groups, object backdoors. I mean, that's a really good one in here. Although why they would put this stuff in Active Directory, that's a little bit misplaced. That's host-based persistence. That's not domain-based. A little bit out of place, but not bad. I do like that they're including a lot of the living off the land because that's a lot of what I do. Modifying open source tools to evade detection. That's a good thing. Understanding .NET reflection in loaders and runtime behavior. That's very good. I do like they've got this in here. But it's also really easy to like, hey, we're going to drop a long list of what we're going to cover and not give a lot of meat behind it, you know. Like I said, so it's interesting. I don't want to say straight up, don't do it. I'm not also going to say straight up, go for it. I'm saying some of the questions you want to ask is like, how detailed is the material? What's the lab environment like? How are you supposed to complete the material to be able to go take the exam? What's the exam structure? Those are all questions you want to ask as you're going through. Founded in 2021. Is there course material, or is there an exam but no course material? Sounds weird. I just took exam 2, but I might have to ask for the email. Wait, so it's just an exam? It's not a course? Is that correct, Oreo? Also, hey, Laughing, what's up, dude? They link to the SpectreOps blog. Now, I'm not gonna throw any shade for that because it seemed like every module in the Red Team Ops course from 0 Point, there was a link to a SpectreOps blog. There's just so many. They put out like a new blog post every day with new and interesting stuff. I mean, they're just pumping stuff out. So I'm not surprised by that. Hey, Austin, what's up, dude? Yeah, man, I got time for another question. We're about to wrap up the stream, but ask away, man. Yeah, so it's probably like a la carte exams. You know what? I might go... Oh, they have mock exams here. Let's see. A mock exam. What do we got? I might go check some of these mock exams out just for funsies. I don't know when I'd have time to do it, but maybe I'll go mess with them. What am I on next? Every Saturday and Sunday, we're doing... working on HackBot. And then Tuesday nights, we'll also do like hacker news for the week. And actually, there should be a ton for this coming week because I missed last week's news stream because I was traveling. Or this week's, really. And then the one before that, I skipped it because basically it was a dead zone for the news that week because everybody was waiting till Black Hat and DEF CON happened. So we'll probably have a lot of news to cover. I'll have to scrutinize the news list before the stream because it's going to be a lot of stuff. So I bought UTM on my iMac, and there's a video of it, its update, and I tried to install it via UTM, and it works, but my question is, the installation is stuck. Let's see. What is UTM? I'm trying to remember. All those nights we start at 8 p.m. Central, Dandy. So yeah. Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday. I actually never messed with UTM. Do we do any hacking on stream? Occasionally I do. I did a lot in the beginning, Coder. the reason why I'm doing a little bit differently now is because I want to do more, but I want to do it in a way where the knowledge kind of persists and becomes operational in the future. That was actually where I got the idea for HackBot. Was I was like, okay, what could I kind of do with this? I've been tinkering around with language models quite a bit. I was like, one of the things I'm really good at is teaching. One of the things I really suck at is I'm really good at also operationalizing research, right? Taking like, okay, cool, here's some theoretical research. Let's put it into actual tactics we're going to use during a penetration test or a red team exercise. And I started thinking about it. I was like, I'd like to have something where I could go get a second example of me running through something. So by creating HackBot and having basically as a wrapper around all these specialty agents, every time I go learn something new, I can make a new special agent to kind of ingrain that information in there. And so it lets me learn it twice. Once, going through and learning the material. Two, going through and building the special agent to get it done. And then three is kind of like making sure it operationally works in the context of the agent. So this has multiple avenues of exploration where I'm working with it. But sometimes I do just get burned out on HackBot. I did during the browser stream, and I was like, hey, let's just go do some Hack the Box, and we'll have some fun. And sometimes, to be real with y'all, there's times during the week when I'm emotionally drained because of some stuff that's happened in the past year, and I just can't deal with the news. So yeah, on Tuesday night, sometimes we'll skip the news and we'll go do hacking streams. If you really want to learn a subject, you got to teach it. Yeah, exactly, Widget. And so that was one of the reasons why I think I picked up the material so well on the RTO course, because I was essentially like teaching what I was doing on stream. And I really do enjoy teaching. And it did help me learn a lot. So Austin, is it the install of UTM that's getting stuck, or are you installing something inside UTM? Let me look at this YouTube video you just sent over. Ads. One sec, guys. Skip the ad. Let's see. So you're on the last section here. Is it this enable retina mode that you're looking at? Let's see. Because I see performance, and then bonus is deleting Ubuntu. No, before that? Okay. Let me see what they're doing real fast here for you. See if I can give you some info. So you configure the VM, you go through install. So is it the install of Ubuntu where it's hanging up on there? No, Vandal, I didn't see that. I wonder if they released it, because earlier in the stream we were talking about, what was it? Alias Robotics released their full, like, agent framework. And so I wonder if that's why they released part of it. Can you grab me a link to it? Here. Let me see. Let's see what this guy's doing. So he's installing Ubuntu inside of a VM. Comes through, installs. So which part is it hanging on for you, Austin? Is it hanging on like you're trying to, when it's trying to install the VM? At the last part, it will just hang. So let's go look at that real quick. So it looks like it installs. So it's actually right here where it's performing the install that it's hanging up. Or is it whatever you like, you're trying to boot up the VM? Because from here, it looks like he got it installed and operational. Oh, dropped my sticky note. My sticky note fidget spinner. Hey, Austin, do me a favor. Shoot me a screenshot on Discord of like where you're stuck, or like a picture of it. Oh, Alias Robotics released it, but Expo's using it also? Okay. Alright, so it's 622 is where you're getting stuck. Let's go look real fast. Alright, so he's sitting up here. Okay, so this is where he's actually running the install. How long has it been running, Austin? I keep wanting to click the thumb button. I'm a habitual thumb clicker. I have done it. It'll just hang. Okay. What I would probably say do, Austin, this is sometimes just happens with virtual machines, is next step I would do is just cancel this VM, shut it down, delete it, and jump back from here where he's configuring the VM. Start back from there and go get it kind of set up and built again. I would say that's your best bet. Sometimes VMs just get stupid on you. Most of the time they work, but occasionally they can go really sideways. What about practicing versus other OSs it might be hard to come across, like phones or Macs? Sliver has Mac options, but not where to. I've actually thought about setting up Mac in my Ludus lab. And yeah, actually, that's one of the things that would be really cool. There's a big need for Mac tradecraft on my team because we're running across a lot of Mac stuff. So it'd be fun to go tinker with. And that's one of the things I want to be able to do inside of HackBot is go build those special agents by learning stuff and then operationalizing it over there, right? One of the things I was actually just thinking about is if there would be a way to add a knowledge store to these special agents where you could bundle knowledge with the agent. Like, hey, by the way, here's our knowledge base, or here's a place to go download it and bring it in. Once those agents bring it in, they can index it locally on your machine. Maybe we can make the index file shareable, but basically have a knowledge base available for it. So that way it has a place to go do like retrieval augmentation and say, oh, hey, by the way, here's some extra information we can use with this. Did both and nothing. Your next option is do a complete reboot of the machine. And if that's still not working, I'm not sure what to tell you, man. My iMac chip got really hot. Oof. That must take a lot of power there because those iMacs are actually really, really efficient. So, let's see. Watch Tyler stream on Google Cloud and see him using Kaido. Kaido looked really cool, except I wish they didn't go the approach of like Postman. I really, really wanted to like Kaido. I was hyped for it when it first came out. And then they kind of went the Postman route where a lot of it's just kind of not on your system. I wasn't really keen on that, and you've got to log in and do stuff. I'll take another look at it, but it looked like that was the route they were going, and I was not cool with that. Wait, hold on. Did you mean HackBot or Hack the Box? That's part of the reason why I'm changing the name of it, Oreo. It's going to make its own cheat sheets of knowledge that everyone could use. Actually, yeah, that would be pretty cool to be able to do it. Because, in fact, that's something we could even do with it. Because once the Stinger chat interface is up, then yeah, what you could do is route queries to the specialty agents where they could go handle it and have their own knowledge repositories. That would be kind of cool. That's a really cool idea, Oreo. I like that. I do like that. Yeah, Vandal, running across Macs is a pain. We've got a couple guys on our team that are really specialized in it, and I usually haven't run across any, but there's been times when they've gotten pulled into assessments to basically save the day. And what's funny is it's not like Macs are more secure, it's that they have weird security and a complete lack of telemetry. Because they think their security model is so awesome. Like, there's a lot of eventing that you can trace in Windows that you just can't trace on the Mac side. It's wild. Hey, Noipi, what's up, man? Since you did a lot of Python recently, what's your thought on CS50 of Harvard Introduction to Python or the CS50 course in general? I tried to go through those a couple of times and I just never really caught traction with it. So I can't give you a good explanation for it. That was my experience with it though. I'm having a better time learning Python by sitting here and just building out this project and having fun with it and hacking on it. I feel like I'm learning more about Python doing it that way than in a structured environment. Could be a setting in the virtual BIOS, maybe enabling a feature that isn't supported by the hardware. Yeah. Like I said, there could be a lot of gotchas in there, Austin. Python koans are so good though. I don't even know what that is. I was checking InfoSec streams to see if there's anybody online, but unfortunately there isn't. Python koans? What's a koan? Ooh, interactive Python learning tutorial. Nice. I actually will save this. Thank you, Mel. Because I'm going to save this for Agent Zero. He's gotten to the point where he can read and write pretty well. His typing sucks. He just hasn't been on a computer very much. He's still doing a lot of hunting and pecking. But I think I could actually have him do something fun with this. I like this. Cool. I love interactive tutorials. Very cool. Thank you for the suggestion on that. I like this. It's fantastic. Oh, wait, hold on. Am I reading this wrong? Let's see. Interactive tutorial for learning Python programming language by making test pass. Yeah. Okay, maybe this won't be a good place to start with Agent Zero, but I like the idea of it. Other base UTM galleys have worked. So just doing a custom install was what was failing, Austin? All right, Mel, remind me, what is TDD? Because I live in acronym hell. So it's always really hard to remember all of them. Oh, test-driven development. Now I remember it. Yeah, thank you. That's weird, Austin. It might be just something weird with Jellyfish. If the other versions of Ubuntu are working from the gallery, then I'm not sure what to tell you on that. You mean trial by fire, TBF? Yeah, exactly. That's the way I do everything. Trial by fire. Let's see. All right, who's over on the big Twitch purple side? We might be able to go right over to. By the way, over on Twitch, if anybody has a raid suggestion, go ahead and shout them out real quick, and we'll go raid over to them. Looking to see who's online right now. Howling Fantods. Let's go check him out real quick. What's he working on? Doing some leet coding. Okay. Yeah, why not? We'll go give him. You're mentoring you now? Awesome, man. Dude, we'll go right over to him. Get that started out there. Guys, will you do me a favor? Over on the Twitch side, and actually, hang on 1 second. Let me... Over on the YouTube side, I'm going to start dropping these real quick. But this is the guy we're raiding over to if you want to go say hi to him. But when you get over there, drop some Happy Hackers. That one. And drop some Cookie Monsters. Yeah. All right, Gumby, have a good night, man. Yeah, guys, that is where we got to end it. I'm a little bit over, and Sock is about to come in here and aggro hard. So we got to wrap it up there. Thanks everybody for coming to hang out. I think we know how. I think I've got an idea on how we're going to do the browser imports. So we're going to work on the agent imports. So we're going to work on that tomorrow night. We just got to get the code structured now. Everyone, have a fantastic night. I hope you have a great Sunday tomorrow. Get to spend it with your friends and family. get rested, get prepped for Monday so we can get into crushing it mode. And I want you all to remember one very, very important thing, which is I love you. Peace.